Hello, welcome everyone to the Spotlight here on Fightful. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined as always by Stephen Jensen. Jensen, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing all right, man. Can't complain. Weather's getting a little bit warmer and stuff, which is nice, but it's also affecting my sleep a little bit because I like it to be really cold when I sleep. So I'm a little out of it today, just a little kind of groggy feeling. But outside of that, dude, I'm never feeling too groggy to not be able to talk about some pro wrestling. So I'm always excited to be here. How you doing, man?
You know what'll wake you up?
Well, I'm not tired. It's just like you feel like kind of off because like you feel like you didn't get real sleep. But what will help?
Cocaine? I feel like that.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, man.
I'm just saying. I feel like it'll help.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I've never done it, despite Sean Ross Sapp's accusatory tone with me sometimes. But I've never done it. But from what I've been told, it will help you and get you going.
Yeah, so I may or may not have tried it before, but like it also may or not really be like my kind of thing.
Let's tell this story instead of talking about wrestling.
But no, I mean, yeah, but yeah, it's definitely one of those things where I'm not going to sit here and like advocate people do that. There are other things that I think people could do that aren't that big of a deal, but like that one, I don't know. I'm not going to tell people to go try that. But I mean, I know plenty of people who do it and they love it. But actually, you know what the joke is? It's that they don't like cocaine. They just like the way it smells.
I don't know if I've ever heard that, but that's tremendous. I have like 2 times the caffeine coffee, little K cups, like Starbucks K cups, and has like 2 times caffeine on it. And I just drink one of those every single day. Next week, I'm going to be drinking 2 a day because it's WrestleMania week. But yeah, that gets me through the day. I get up at like 6 o'clock every day and I'm still awake till like midnight. That gets me through the day. Like, so.
Yeah. Yeah. The people in the chat are already like, yeah, don't bring this up. We're going to get demonetized. Jeremy brought this up, not me. I would never.
I was just, shit, I'm going to really get in trouble now. My bad. Edit that out. Somebody edit that out, please. Where's Joel Pearl to edit things? I've just heard it helps. I'm not advocating for it at all. All right. Don't do it, everybody.
I drink seltzer waters, which is very, very basic. They don't even have caffeine or anything. I just like that. I just kind of, I don't really even like caffeine that much, if I'm being honest. I used to drink coffee a lot. I really don't like the feeling of feeling like my heart's going faster and like that, like I'm sweating and stuff. And like, it's like caffeine gives you like artificial artificial energy where like you feel like you're energized, but I feel like your body's really just kind of like freaking out. Like what's going on right now? So yeah, I'm more of like just kind of chill out. The most caffeine I'll drink is like in soda every now and then, but I mainly drink seltzers. So like, it's mainly just carbonated water for me. Pretty boring. So
I have my 1 cup of coffee in the morning and otherwise just water all day. That's it. Used to be big into the sodas. I cut that out. I'll have maybe like a glass of milk and some Oreos at night, but that's it. No sodas, none of that stuff. Just water all day with all my meals. That's what I get by on. No drugs, everybody. Don't do drugs.
Do not do drugs. Do not do drugs. I'm not even trying to be funny or kidding. Do not do drugs. We are not advocating that at all.
No, do not do them.
This is probably the first time I've ever even said the word cocaine on camera ever. You know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely.
Sean Ross Sapp likes to crack. He's always saying he did one where I had like my thumb had a long thumbnail. He's like such a coke finger. I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing here, Sean?
You know what? I have some long fingernails myself right now on my thumb. Mainly because my actual my clippers actually broke recently, and I kind of bite my nails anyways. Like, that's a bad habit. That's another one I wouldn't recommend people do. But I have a chipped tooth from when I was a kid, my front tooth. So, and I can feel it kind of going a little bit when I eat certain things. So like, I'm afraid to bite into my nail. So I have to like wait till I go into the shower and like my nails get really soft, and then like I'll bite them until I go get a new clipper. But I never think about getting new clippers until my nails get too long, and then it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like something I never think about until I'm like, oh geez, I got to do something about this. Anyways, I'm sure people have no interest in the things we're talking about up to this point.
They probably have more interest in this than wrestling. Is this a wrestling channel? Is that what we do here at Fightful? I wrote an article about Ric Flair and Mike Tyson getting into the weed business today. All right, so
did that really happen? I know Mike Tyson's been heavy into it for a while.
Yeah. He bought out, like, I guess Ric Flair has Ric Flair Drip Incorporated, and Tyson like acquired a majority stake in that. And so now we're going to get Ric Flair lines of cannabis. So this is a drug podcast now, apparently.
Yeah, wow. Everyone's getting into that now. I know Steve Urkel is like selling like Urkel weed and stuff now. And like, I mean, everyone, like if you got any kind of notoriety, I feel like you're going into the cannabis business. But yeah, Tyson's been doing it for years, like been in that business. So yeah, Ric Flair. I remember like Anthony Rumble Johnson, the MMA fighter. I remember when he had retired for a few years. A big reason he retired is because he had invested in a bunch of like cannabis stuff before it like actually got legal. So he was like just sitting on it until it became legal in certain places. And then like the business just boomed and he was like, I don't even need to fight anymore because like I'm making so much money doing this instead. Drug full overbooked. That is funny though. So Flair though is in the business now. That's interesting.
Flair anyway. That man can make money. He's gonna try to make money off of it. So yeah, you'll be getting face flop edibles and everything here at some point.
That's actually pretty funny. Yeah.
RVD's. I listened to an interview with him today too, and that man he'll just roll up and start smoking on stream. Like he doesn't care. So
no, he doesn't.
He has his own line and everything with it as well, which I'm sure shocks absolutely nobody. But that man literally just will roll a joint during the interview and just start smoking it, which is tremendous. Bless that guy.
Yeah. I know he has RVD CBD. And also he's a part of Unkind Esports that actually sponsors my show with Doug every Tuesday live round. So yeah, there you go. Shout out Unkind Esports and Rob Van Dam.
Let's get into people are yelling at us. I'm going to keep just chit-chatting instead of getting to the wrestling. Let's get into the wrestling. We're not even going to talk about wrestling, though. We're going to start with this MJF interview with Ariel Helwani that you actually alerted me to last night because I was asleep. And you're like, I want to talk about this MJF interview with Ariel Helwani. I listened to it this morning. As usual, in character stuff from MJF. But what did you think of this interview, Stephen?
I think this was in character, but kind of a little more real talk than he usually gives, which was kind of refreshing. Now, I'll tell y'all, if you want to see like a full, like most current day fans probably don't know that there are some MJF shoot interviews that he's done pre AEW when he was kind of new to the indie scene where he is out of character and he's just talking like a real person. And they may have tried to like wipe those. I don't know. I know I have one saved still from like forever ago. I think it was him, Ricky Starks, and Ethan Page maybe was the interview.
Migos?
Yeah, I think it was an Migos, I think. But so I've heard two different interviews years back where MJF is just like actually being himself. And this was the closest I've heard to that in years, this interview with Helwani, but he was still in character to like a pretty large degree, but I really enjoyed the interview. And it was interesting because when it premiered last night after Dynamite, and I looked on like Helwani's Twitter and like he wasn't really promoting it. And I looked on MJF's Twitter and he wasn't really promoting it. Like they had tweeted a little bit about it like hours before, but I think it was supposed to drop this morning. I don't know what happened, but I feel like it dropped early and like just like they scheduled it accidentally at the wrong time. So it aired last night. And I just happened to be on YouTube and just saw that Ariel Helwani was live. And I mean, I can even show you. Oh, I got this on my desk, actually. This here is a water bottle. I went and saw him live at his first ever live show in Chicago, Illinois, a few years ago. And I interviewed him for my personal podcast like years back, too. I'm a very, very, very big fan of Ariel Helwani. So it was really cool hearing his interview with MJF last night. And there was some really good kind of like conversation in there, like some of the stuff we've heard plenty of times, like some of the stuff he talks about in like every interview, but it got really interesting once he started talking about like the WWE and like NXT 2.0 and like his contract and like that was really interesting stuff. So yeah, what did you think about that stuff? I know you wrote a little bit about it I know there's been some Fightful articles this morning about some of the topics as well.
Yeah, I wrote the one about him saying he wasn't going to resign early. He's going to go to free agency, which we kind of all knew, but it's news that he is very much confirming all of that. I love where he's like, there's a makeout session on NXT. Who doesn't love a good makeout session?
Yeah.
It's so like tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic shit from him, but you think he's actually like he's believable in it because he's so good at this character and so good at this gimmick. I've listened to a ton of MJF interviews. He's always going to give you something, whether he's in character, obviously, but he just always gives you these little sound bites or these headlines, and it's good stuff to listen to him. I think Helwani is a tremendous interviewer. Like one of my favorite guys to listen to interview. I listened to him with Gable and Paige Van Zandt. Actually, any Helwani interview, like, because he not only asks the initial question, he will certainly like follow that up and press a little bit on things. And Helwani has the cachet and the reputation to where he's not going to get in trouble to any of this. Like he doesn't need to play ball with any of these guys. He's not afraid to push a little bit. And so he does that, which is good. And it does feel like there is a conversation and you're getting to the bottom of the answer everybody wants to know. So I think Helwani is very good at interviews. And like the MJF interview, again, in character stuff, I don't think he's going anywhere in 2024. Like I'm fairly confident he's going to re-sign with the AEW, but a lot can change between now and then. It's nearly 2 years away. Like so much can change between now and then. And so like it'd be hard to just say, yeah, 100% he's going to stay. The way things stand right now seems like he's going to stay. 2 years from now, who knows? Who knows where the business is going to be 2 years from now? But I enjoyed it. I enjoy every MJF interview again because he's going to give you those sound bites. He's going to give me those headlines. So I always appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's interesting hearing him kind of like ride that line of like wanting to give genuine answers, but also wanting to stay in character. And like you said, with what could happen in 2 years. I mean, if Cody can go, I mean, anything can happen, you know? So like, and him and Cody are tight, you know, personally. So like, you know, if anyone can kind of sway MJF to maybe jump ship over to WWE with him in a couple of years, if Cody's getting treated well over there, I'm sure other AEW wrestlers that are considered like AEW homegrown stars, I think more of them will wind up in the WWE over time. But yeah, listening to him talk about like NXT 2.0, I was like legitimately laughing out loud. I was like, this guy is trolling so hard. And yeah, I love Ariel's his style of interview as well. I remember years ago, I had asked him just for some pointers on like how I could be a better interviewer. And something he told me was mainly about not having like any kind of real like bullet points or script you're really going off of in an interview and making the interview more about follow-up questions. And that I think that really, really helped me. And this was years ago. And ever since he told me that, I stopped doing, I try to just listen to who I'm interviewing and then ask just follow-up questions based on what they're telling me. Cause I think it just makes a lot better conversation. So, yeah, man, I remember watching him so long ago. Like he was one of the real early like guys using YouTube to like get his name out there, and a real independent journalist and all that stuff. And yeah, really big fan of what he does in that interview style and that whole interview with MJF. One thing I wish he would have dove a little bit more into, and he might have, and I might have just missed it, but he was asking a lot about like people being in charge in the WWE, like whether it be Vince or Triple H or so-and-so, but he didn't mention Nick Khan, which I thought was kind of interesting. Once again, unless I missed it, because for people who don't know, Ariel Helwani and Nick Khan have a long history as well, where Nick was his, I believe he was his agent for like quite a while. Yeah. So like, I was kind of expecting Ariel to ask more about Nick Khan potentially, just because I'd like to know the perspective of like, from the outside looking in, like AEW wrestlers seeing all these guys and girls like leaving the company. And because I think a lot of them would probably put a lot of the blame on Nick Khan, because a lot of this has happened since Nick Khan has been in the position he's in with the WWE. So that was one thing that was a little confusing, was like, I know he knows who Nick Khan is and he knows Nick Khan really well. So I was kind of surprised he didn't ask a little bit more about kind of the perception of him amongst wrestlers. But outside of that, I thought it was like really, really damn good.
Yeah, it was good. Ricardo says we're going head to head with the Grin. I mean, go support those guys. Late Night Grin.
Yeah, guys rule.
Yeah,
we're friends with everyone over there.
Yes. Yeah, he didn't ask about Nick Khan. I didn't really expect him to, but you're right, because Ariel and Nick Khan have that long history, and it was, I think it was with Van Zandt, or maybe it was with Gable Steveson. He interviewed him yesterday. He did bring up Nick Khan. I don't know what the perception is of Nick Khan. He did talk about AEW signing a lot of the WWE guys and everything like that. And you mentioned, AEW guys jumping to WWE is starting with Cody, and it could happen more. We kind of talked about that when Cody left, is that a lot of kind of the Cody guys, and MJF is certainly one of them. Ricky Starks is another one of like, hey, if they see that Cody is doing okay, maybe they will be like, yeah, we'll kind of jump over. They treated this guy well. Maybe there is room for us over here, because doesn't seem like AEW is going to stop in signing guys, and they're doing the best they can in trying to get everybody, TV time and things like that. But there's only so much TV time to go around, and that's why I think the Cody coming into WWE is so fascinating, because WWE can really make waves with AEW guys who might be happy and just proving like, hey, okay, they treated Cody well. If I can come in, they'll treat me well as well. And MJF 2 years from now, if Cody is doing well and Cody does have a top position these 2 years, assuming he doesn't go back to AEW in the next 2 years or anything like that, then it'll be something to think about. And MJF mentioned, it's all about the money for him. I'd imagine WWE can offer him more money than AEW. Whether or not they choose to do that, I don't know. MJF has also mentioned, Hollywood aspirations. And I like it or not, like AEW, again, 2 years from now, long time away, they could grow exponentially within the next 2 years. But as it stands right now, WWE has the quicker avenue to, if you want to get into television or movies or anything like that.
Well, I think he said he had done some like voice work for a movie already, so at least he's getting like his foot in the door. And I think that it's possible that this whole shift that WWE has done recently with like NXT Level Up, NXT 2.0, their whole developmental process, if they can use that to try to, I don't know the best way of putting this, almost like farm superstars. Like if they bring in like 200 people or whatever with no wrestling experience, and if they can get like one or two like potential stars out of these people, that's probably a win for them. Like if they can find their next Roman Reigns somehow, or like their next John Cena somehow, and it just happens to be like an Olympian or a former college athlete or something that wasn't an independent wrestler, if they can use it to that degree and essentially get really lucky and find some stars out of that, but they're essentially using AEW as their developmental going forward. Obviously, the companies aren't working together, but they can see it as like, well, they've got MJF, they got Ricky Starks, they got Sammy Guevara, they got Darby Allin, they got this person, that person, so on and so forth. And they're like, why don't we just let AEW make them into stars? And then when their contracts are up, we'll try to get as many of those younger guys and girls as we can while we're trying to develop our own people here. Like maybe that's kind of where they're going to go with some of this, because they're already kind of going backwards on some of their current philosophy, because like they've recently signed Roxy, for instance. Like she's an indie wrestler. They are still trying out indie wrestlers at some of these tryouts that they do and stuff. So I don't know if they've completely abandoned the idea of hiring indie workers or people but I think for them, it's like, we can try to cultivate our own stars from the very start, but we have our eye on what's going on over here, because basically AEW is over here creating new stars in wrestling. And when they're valuable, we can bring them over to us and they're already good to go on TV. So I don't know, just kind of something that I have in mind. And I think that Cody is literally the best person they could possibly have coming over to potentially get more people to join but it's going to depend on how they treat Cody. That's going to be a big part of it, is the wrestlers in AEW seeing what they do with him and how he's treated. And if he's treated well and he's advocating for them to jump ship and see what it's all about, they're way more likely to do it than if he wasn't there. You know what I mean?
And Ricardo says 3 weeks until Fed screws up Cody. Watch. That seems generous.
Very possible. Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, it might already be screwed up before he even debuted. I mean, the story, if he is going to be wrestling Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, the story is Rollins is a loser who keeps losing, who is begging his way onto the show. So like Cody's going to be the guy who's like the consolation, like, okay, well, you can wrestle him.
He's going to be a loser.
What if Cody loses to Seth? So he loses to a loser right off the bat. Like that would kill all the momentum of all of this. And it's totally possible that they do that because Seth's their guy. So like, I don't know, man. I'm very skeptical about this whole thing.
I kind of suspect and figure Cody's going to lose to Seth. Honestly, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's not going to shock me in the least if Cody loses to Seth. Absolutely not. Like, Again, I sort of expect it to happen. I think the reactions will be hilarious if and when it does happen. But like, I don't have faith in whatever they're going to do with Cody. I don't have faith in whatever they're going to do with anybody. There's no reason to. They haven't given me any reason to have faith with any kind of this stuff. And until they do, then I feel like I'm justified in just not believing anything good is going to come out of this. I hope something does. I'm not going to be mad if nothing doesn't, because my expectation is that low with everything.
I completely understand. So yeah, I mean, I still might punch a hole through my television if Cody loses his re-debut at WrestleMania, but
I need to get that on video.
Yeah. I'll eat the Stardust mask on stream if he loses it. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to actually do that. But yeah, I mean, so we'll see. It's very, very, very strange that, like, I think that at this point it's going to be like an open challenge type thing, like at WrestleMania, and Cody's synonymous with the open challenge from AEW, and like it kind of all just makes sense. But I don't know. I don't know. What's next?
The other AEW topic, we have CM Punk. So CM Punk was back in action last night, his first match since defeating MJF in the dog collar match. So after the dog collar match, at the post-match press conference, the post-event press conference, he mentioned going after the AEW title. He said he liked Hangman Page, but he still wanted to go after the AEW title. And then last night he beats Dax Harwood. Great match, by the way, just a tremendous wrestling match. And then he does the little title belt motion there, and there you go. Now, CM Punk potentially going after the AEW World Title. Are you ready? You ready for this CM Punk Hangman Page showdown, Jensen?
I am. I think it makes all the sense in the world to go this direction at this point. Speaking of Dax, that was almost my spotlight for this week, because of how impressed I am by him. Every time he has a singles match, he kills it. Rules. Every single time. That's nothing to take away from Cash, obviously. It's just Dax has been put in those positions and he's really, really shined. Like, for instance, this might sound controversial. Like, if you were going to put the TNT title on a guy who's primarily in a tag team, I'd rather see it on Dax than Scorpio, personally. Like, I think Dax is even more entertaining than he is. But that's just me. I think there's a lot he can do with Dax, is really the point of it. He can be a singles guy or a tag team guy, and he's proven that. As far as CM Punk, I think that this is the trajectory that he's on. It only makes sense to do it, because you look at the guys he's wrestled and the guys he's beat and the matches he's had and how over he is with the crowd and just everything that he's doing, and in the creativeness that he's bringing to this too. Like, you can tell he's putting his own kind of spin on all these stories. Like, you can tell he's heavily involved in like the storytelling aspect and the matches, putting all this together for what he's been doing in AEW. And I think it's been working really, really, really well. And in all honesty, I would have never said this a few months ago, but in all honesty, at this point, I think they should probably put the AEW World Title on CM Punk. Like, I think he should probably beat Hangman for the title. And I love Hangman, but like, Punk's just, you have a rare opportunity with him, because he's just been killing it since he came back. And I mean, once again, if he wasn't going to be wrestling Hangman next for the belt, it kind of almost lessens the value of like the ranking system and stuff, because like, who else would he really need to beat to get to a title shot at this point?
Jay Lethal is like ranked number 4 in the rankings because he picks up a bunch of wins on like Dark and Elevation and stuff. CM Punk, meanwhile, unranked. I can't stand the rankings. And
is he unranked? Really?
How is that possible? He's unranked.
MJF wasn't ranked?
No, MJF wasn't ranked because he lost to Captain Sean Dean by DQ. This is why the rankings are so stupid, is that you can just go on Dark and Dark Elevation and just beat a bunch of nobodies, and so they can be like, oh, well, he's 8-1 this year. But meanwhile, that one loss was on television because Lethal lost to Guevara. I think that was in 2021, technically. They lost to Starks. I'm pretty sure that was his one like televised loss. So he loses that one match, but then he's beaten a bunch of nobodies on Dark and Dark Elevation. So they just look at the full number of wins instead of, quality of competition and things like that, which is really dumb because people want to point out, hey, look at like the college football rankings and how they work. Cincinnati had to remain undefeated to stay in the top 4. If they lost one of those games, they're going to get dropped, and they were going to put a 1-loss team or a 2-loss team in there because their quality of competition was so trash. Just because you beat a bunch of nobodies doesn't mean you should be ranked higher. I'm looking at the people you actually beat and when you actually beat them. Dynamite wins, Rampage wins, Dynamite losses, Rampage losses should mean more than Dark Elevation wins and losses. And pay-per-view wins and losses should mean a lot more than Dark Elevation losses. The rankings suck. They're horrible. They should scrap them. They don't come out until like 6 o'clock before Dynamite starts. It's just awful. All right. I'm sure CM Punk will be ranked high next week because he beat Dax Harwood, and this will be their argument of like, look at CM Punk. He's in the top 5 now. He's going for a title shot and everything. He should have already been there. Look at his overall record. He didn't lose until MJF the other week, and even that was questionable because MJF had to cheat. Then he beat him in the dog collar match. Fix your fucking rankings, AEW.
Dude, I didn't know how heated that was about to get. Wow.
I hate the rankings.
Yeah. See, I like the concept of it, but I didn't like. I like the concept of like wins and losses mattering and stuff in the company. But I honestly, to be completely honest, I haven't actually paid attention to the rankings in quite a while. I just kind of assume based on the stories and like kind of who's beating who, like who would kind of be next up for certain stuff. But that is kind of crazy if like Jay Lethal is ranked number 4 and like MJF and CM Punk are unranked. That doesn't make any sense. Jay Lethal
has 0 televised wins. 0. Again, I get Dark Elevation matter. They try to make that stuff matter. It's not CM Punk's fault that he ain't working these Tuesdays and Monday YouTube tapings. All right. I do realize that it's all kind of the same Wednesday show. But like, it ain't his fault that he don't feel like working these. I'm sure if CM Punk wanted to be like, yeah, sure, pull me some local indie guy that I can beat, he'd beat him and it'd be just fine. He ain't doing that. He wants bigger matches, stat padding. Yeah, Lance Archer was number 1 in the rankings yesterday. Lance Archer just lost the title match. He just lost. How is he number 1 in these rankings?
And he rarely wrestles to begin with.
Well, like, he beats people on Dark and Dark Elevation. That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's how he beats people.
You have a valid point. You have a very valid point, Jeremy. I'm not arguing at all. Yeah. So anyway, even that all aside, like when you look at what CM Punk has done since returning to AEW, like I don't think any AEW fan can look at that and be like he doesn't deserve a title shot. You know what I mean? Like he absolutely does. So.
He has 1 loss. It was the MJF match. Again, that was nefarious means. I agree with Dave. Like the rankings or the wins and losses do matter way more. And I appreciate that with AEW. Don't try to sell me that these rankings mean something and that because Adam Cole beat number 4 ranked Jay Lethal, now he's back in a position to earn a title shot when he just lost to the champion. When Jay Lethal's best win is over against some guy on Dark, I'm sure. So I care more about like the stories and the stuff they're trying to tell there. You can tell stories without rankings. They've actually done a very good job of telling those stories. They shoehorn the rankings into trying to make these title matches make sense when you don't even need to do that. Because AEW fans are just like, oh, cool. This person did this to this person. This is going to be a great match. Let's enjoy this match. The rankings, I do think it helps with casual fans. I will say that. I'm sure if you're watching Dynamite for the first time last night and you see, number 4, Jay Lethal, number 3, Adam Cole, this seems like a big match. It probably helps them, but for me, it doesn't do anything. So maybe I'm being unfair and the casual fans love that stuff. Maybe they do. Yeah, you can keep the records and just lose the rankings. I agree with that too. So
that's all fair. And also, I'm sure you remember when I think it was around the time the UFC started on Fox, like before the ESPN era, but I'm pretty sure it was during the beginning of the Fox era is when they started ranking UFC fighters. And that was for the same exact reason, because Fox was like, well, there's going to be a lot of casuals tuning in for the first time now that it's on this major network. And they need to know like who's good and who isn't, basically. So they started putting ranking numbers next to people's names, and that's stuck ever since. Like they still do the rankings to this day, but the rankings are fairly controversial sometimes on that as well. But it was done for the same reason, like just for the casual audience that like just might be seeing this for the first time and they see, oh, number 8 is fighting number 7. Like this must be a big deal, but they wouldn't have known otherwise.
You mentioned the UFC rankings. The Brazilian media would fuck that up.
Oh, yeah.
That was my favorite part about the UFC rankings because it's all like media vote stuff. Yes. And so the Brazilian media would just put the Brazilians like in their top 3. It didn't matter what the records were or anything. And it ruled. It was the best thing that like they tried to make these things legitimate, and then the Brazilian media was just like, this Brazilian.
Renan Barros lost 7 in a row, but let's
get him up there. Ruled so much. Oh, that was so great. Yeah. People mentioned, yes, JJ mentions like the biggest star CM Punk is unranked. Yeah, casual, hardcore, doesn't matter. That's the other thing is like you see CM Punk and you could see like, oh, it's this unranked guy. They're presenting him as a big deal, but he's not ranked. Why is CM Punk presented as a big deal while Jay Lethal is not? Jay Lethal's number 4. So it could have the opposite effect when it comes to casual fans. And Ricardo says, I casually hate the rankings. I don't casually hate it. I venomously hate it, as people might have been able to tell here.
That is a really good point, though. A really good point about the casual viewer that would see that and be like, oh, MJF must not be as good as like Jay Lethal because Jay Lethal's ranked and he isn't. Like, that would be really confusing to like a casual viewer. I didn't even think about it like that before.
I am looking forward to CM Punk eventually challenging for the world title. I don't know the story they're going to do if CM Punk's going to turn heel. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe. I mean, CM Punk is a tremendous heel. He'd pull it off easily. So I'm very interested in whatever the story might be, and it might be as simple as like I haven't really lost outside of that one match. I'm beating the best guys here, and maybe Punk's just going to keep beating guys. And then again, I think they kind of will use the rankings here, and Punk will get ranked because that's how they like to do these things. Or he'll win a battle royal. They love battle royals. Our gauntlet match, our ladder match, one of those gimmicks that they love doing as well.
Yeah, I don't know, but the next pay-per-view is what, May?
May, Double or Nothing. They got a while.
So yeah, I think he'll probably beat a couple people that are like ranked above him. Before then, maybe he beats like an Adam Cole and like an Orange Cassidy or something like that. And I don't know if Orange Cassidy's ranked or not, but I know he beat Adam Cole, but that match technically didn't count. See, a lot of this just gets really confusing when you really start breaking it down. Then you have like your overall record, you have your yearly record, you have your singles record, you have your, you know what I mean? Like it is, man, Cody left the company and it's all just falling apart.
And they reset those rankings at the end of every year. I do like your theory that Cody left and now it's just all gone to shit.
Well, you'll know things are really changing if like Ibushi starts wrestling blow up dolls or something on Dynamite. Then people will be like, wait a second, what's going on?
DDT's coming to AEW, so we could get the blow up doll match. Cole Cabana wants that match with CM Punk, so. And Money Mark points out that Orange Cassidy is injured. CM Punk, Adam Cole would be a very good like television main event to really solidify Punk as the number 1 guy. I do think Punk's just going to kind of keep winning matches, and then it's just going to be undeniable that he deserves this title shot. But in that, there'll probably be another story to it because Punk is very good at kind of that layered stuff. So yes. I look forward to however they're going to do it. I look forward to seeing what they do.
I wish now. There's two sides to this, of course. The Moxley like situation with like the alcoholism and stuff, that was a very real thing, and I would never want anything to happen on the show or anything to like make him uncomfortable or anything like that. So this is with that in mind. But I think it would be a really good story if Hangman, because they kind of have alluded to it a little bit on BTE with like the Dark Order being like, dude, your entire personality was you were a lot more fun when you were drunk all the time. Like you're kind of lame to be around, kind of a downer basically. And if they made the story to where like Hangman started drinking again and CM Punk turned heel as the straight edge, like, I'm better than you. Like, why are the fans celebrating this alcoholism? I think that would be a really, really, really interesting way to have CM Punk turn heel and then win the title from him if it was kind of based off of that. But once again, I wouldn't want this, if Moxley or anyone else in the company with like any kind of substance abuse issue is like, hey, this kind of isn't cool, like I wouldn't want them to do it. But if everyone was on board for it and okay with it, I think a story like that would be a really good and like realistic way to turn CM Punk heel, because we know how we've seen him pour alcohol down his enemies' throats and bash. I remember he bashed Jericho with like a liter of whiskey or something when they were feuding and stuff. So like he will go there as a heel, which if you're going to make him a heel, you might as well go all the way and make him like as hateable as you possibly can. So,
yeah, they got 2 months, assuming they do this match at Double or Nothing. They've got 2 months to get there, so they got a lot of time to piece all of this together, and we'll see what happens. But CM Punk Dax Hardwood was so good. last night. So damn good. I look forward to when Brett finally comes in with
They've
FTR.
hinted so much at it. There was like pink backlights when they did the promo, and he was talking about like doing stuff from the heart, and like they're going for sharpshooters during the match.
Yeah.
Like at this point, it would be a big disappointment if Bret Hart doesn't come in for them. Like and they just got rid of Tully. It just feels like what percentage would you put on that, Jeremy? Like, you think it's pretty much like 100% that like Bret Hart's coming in to be their guy?
I have a tough time going 100% anything until it's actually there. Like CM Punk seemed like 100%, and I was still in that like 99 of like, maybe not. And that's sort of where I'm at here. Is I'm kind of in like the 97, 98 thing of like, it seems very, very likely, but there's just enough doubt because it is wrestling and wrestlers like to work to where maybe it won't happen. But AEW typically doesn't do this stuff unless they're going to pay it off with something. I don't think they're hinting at it this much to not have it happen.
What do you think is more likely? Bret Hart comes to AEW and is the Revival's or FTR's manager, or Cody wrestles Seth Rollins at WrestleMania? What has a higher percentage of happening?
Man. They're both pretty equal. I think Cody. I think Cody versus Seth, because that seems like it's almost locked in at this point.
Yeah.
But they both have a very, very high percentage chance for me.
Yeah, I'd agree. And also, it looks like FTR is turning babyface, which I do like that as well, because those guys are just so good at what they do that like they can be heels, baby faces. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like as long as they just keep doing what they're doing in the ring, they're golden for it. That's a big kind of like thing about what they're running the WWE that was so mind-boggling, was like these guys could have been your utility tag team forever. Like they never have a bad match. And also, lo and behold, wow, they can both wrestle as singles guys too, and you never did anything with that either. Like, so yeah, I'm looking forward to FTR being baby faces, especially if they got Bret Hart with them. That's just really, really cool.
Well, MJF finally brought up the Pinnacle last night, and the Pinnacle is going to be back because FTR is facing Gun Club next week. So they finally brought up the Pinnacle and how, hey, yeah, we're still a thing. So we'll see if they kind of split from MJF and Spears next week, because they just fired Tully Blanchard, and MJF like didn't really have anything to say about it, even though he brought in Tully Blanchard and brought that group together. We don't know how FTR quite feels about the whole Wardlow stuff, so hopefully we get some answers around that next week.
Yeah, does WWE own the rights to like call anything the Hart Foundation? Probably.
Let's check the trademarks here,
because I know there was like the new Hart Foundation for a while with like Harry Smith and Tyson Kidd and Natalia. And by the way, Harry Smith is like available. Like if they wanted to bring him in to do something with Brett, like as like a group or something, it could be interesting. So
actually, who has the Hart Foundation, the trademark for that? This is for merchandise purposes, mind you. MLW has it because they did have their version of the Hart Foundation.
That's right. They did they absolutely did. And that's Teddy another Hart. Thing. Yeah, I was about to say Teddy Hart is like literally, in my opinion, he's like the biggest what if ever in wrestling. Like I remember when he got signed to the WWE in the late 90s and he was like 18 years old. And like I remember the stuff he was doing and the flips he was doing, all the innovation. Like the guy could have been such a massive star, and he just cannot stay out of his own way. And yeah, even MLW, like that's right. It was Teddy and Harry, and I can't remember who else was with them in MLW, if anybody. But you're right. So I'd assume Tony can probably figure a way of getting that from MLW. So
he'd have to pay up for it or get some type of documentation for it if he wanted it. It does look like it's just in merchandise stuff. You can apply to trademark this stuff in so many different categories. So it doesn't look like they have it in essentially they do have it for entertainment services. Okay. I got more information. So yeah, they basically have the trademark in the categories you would want the trademark in. So I don't think they'll be using any type of like Hart Foundation naming unless Tony does get the trademark from MLW. Yeah. I'm sure they got the trademark on a napkin or something.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, if anyone can figure a way of making that happen, I mean, maybe all it takes is Tony, doing some sort of talent exchange with them for a minute, some sort of forbidden door thing, and I don't know. I feel like Tony just bought Ring of Honor. I feel like there's, it's possible he could figure out a way of buying the rights to the Hart Foundation if he really wants it. So, oh yeah, Pillman Jr. was in there as well. Yeah. Thank you, Manuel. That is correct. I forgot that Pillman Jr. was in MLW while he was also in AEW. That was interesting how he was doing both for a while.
Yeah. Let's move on to WWE. More great promos. I got to get your thoughts on this Becky Lynch promo from Raw, because I saw a lot of people like praising it on my timeline, and I know you are a WWE hater, Stephen Jensen. So what did you think of this Becky Lynch promo that people were praising as one of the great promos of the year?
Yeah, so I don't want to be a WWE hater. I just think their show's really bad. And I want it to be better, and I hope it is. And I know that there are fans who like it. So, but yeah, it depends on how you look at the promo, right? Because on one hand, it's just not accurate because it kind of sounds like one of those you people type promos. You people chose Bianca Belair over me. I've never lost this title in 3 years or whatever. I only lost it because I had to forfeit it and all this stuff. And I don't, what's so strange about all of this is she should have just been a babyface this entire time. I just feel like the heel turn was a bad move. But here, if Bianca beats her at WrestleMania, that will help Bianca a lot. And I'm hoping that is what happens. I hope Bianca gets this win over her at Mania, because I think she really needs it, considering how she lost the title to Becky to begin with and everything. So I'm kind of torn on it. I thought it was a pretty good promo as far as her delivery of the promo, but the substance of it was just a little confusing, because it's I don't know. And it's also a little bit sad too, because she was the most not just woman, she was the most over human being in the WWE for a while. And now it just kind of feels like it just doesn't feel the same. And we're heading into WrestleMania, and that's just kind of unfortunate. But how did you feel about it? Did you like it, hate it, indifferent about it?
I thought it was a good WWE promo. It wasn't. I prefer the AEW style where they can be a little bit more real with it. A lot of WWE promos are just explaining the story that is already in front of you, and I'm not. And then the you people stuff in there as well. I don't need the Edge style of, hey, let me grab my chair and sit in the middle of the ring and let them put the spotlight on me and let me talk type of thing. I thought Becky delivered it well. The material was going to be what it was going to be. But as far, is it one of the best promos I've ever seen? No, it had nothing on the Charlotte promo. I still think that's one of the greatest promos of all time. You've never seen this promo, have you, Jensen?
No, but Charlotte is the queen. I love me some Charlotte Flair. So I will blindly believe that it was incredible.
The Charlotte promo is legitimately one of the most cringeworthy promos ever.
I feel like there's no way. I had to have at least seen clips of this.
It was during the feud with Becky. It was going into Survivor Series during the feud with Becky. And all she was doing was just oh, Becky can't beat Charlotte. Oh yeah. It was terrible. And she just kept doing that and hope the crowd would catch along, and the crowd just was the piped in crowd noise for Becky's promo as well. Not really a fan of that. You could tell when they were piping in the big boos and everything. Just that kills that kind of stuff for me, as well as if this promo really is good and believable, you're not going to need to pipe that stuff in. Or even if it's not, even if you just want it to lay out and just stand on its own merit, and the crowd is hushed because they're taking in the promo and everything, if you pipe it in, it still makes it sound worse. So that hurt it for me. Overall, though, I love Becky. I think she's great in just about anything she does. And as far as WWE promos go, it was better than that Edge promo that I saw people praising last week as well. His was 2 weeks ago, I guess, technically.
You hate that guy.
Week. He sucks. AJ Styles is right about him. AJ Styles called him a coward, little bitch, all completely correct.
And you know what? Awful. Speaking of AJ, I thought him and Rollins. I watched their match from Raw on Monday. I thought they had a great match on Raw. It just sucked that there was no finish. Although
of course there wasn't. God forbid.
You expected going in.
I expected just AJ to win because I thought, oh well, Rollins is just gonna lose, and so He's just like we said earlier, he's just a loser heading into WrestleMania. Like they don't care if they beat Rollins. They beat him last week with Owens. I at least expected that. I just expected AJ to win. But no, of course, let's just do a screw finish because why not? Right? Like let's do this main event, have people invested in this main event. They did have a great match. I mean, it's Seth Rollins, AJ Styles. I would suspect them to have a great match. But then you do a screw finish. Like why do I care? Why do I invest in any of this?
It's so sad too, because like if they had a 3-hour show on Mondays and a 2-hour show on Fridays where like the majority of the show was matches like that, I'd watch it no matter how bad the stories were, because the in-ring would be so good still that, if they had actual finishes for these matches, I would actually maybe get really invested again. But every time you see a good match happening, in the back of my mind, I'm always like, no one's going to actually win. Like it even happened. It happened on one of the pay-per-views recently. It was a really good match. I think it was Seth and Roman, and they had a really weird finish to it and stuff. And I was like, and like Seth technically won by DQ. And I was like, this match was awesome. Like if someone would have just won, it wouldn't have taken away from the match. It wouldn't have taken away from either guy. Like they're both main event level guys, regardless of winning or losing against one another. Like, so I just really don't like how they do that kind of stuff, because it just takes me out of it as a fan, because it makes me believe that every time I watch it, no one's going to actually ever win anything. So like, what's kind of the point?
Get ready for Bianca to win by DQ at WrestleMania to increase the heat. And then maybe SummerSlam, she'll get her victory back. 1 year after Becky beat her in 13 seconds, Bianca will finally get the big victory. That's how this is going to play out, everybody.
Well, and, a lot of the story is based on Bianca's hair, which, she whipped the hell out of her the other week, where like, I saw like the marks on her and stuff. But honestly, I mean, if she's going to use that hair as a weapon, like her opponents, I don't know, Becky's like alluded to this too. She's basically saying like, I'm going to get your hair. So like, that should be a part of this too. Like if she's going to use her hair as a weapon, her opponent should be grabbing her hair and throwing her head against the turnbuckles and stuff by the hair. Like if she's going to use it as a weapon, they should use it against her as well. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't.
Well, the problem with that is, Bianca says like, I'm not going to use my hair unless you touch it. So it's a pick your poison thing. If you touch your hair, that's when she's going to use it as a weapon. So just don't mess with it. That's what you do. Just don't mess with it. Now though, she's angered Bianca. Bianca's just going to straight up use the hair whenever she wants. I like this story with Becky and Bianca. It's been a long build. Was this the plan the entire time? I don't know, but they've at least brought it back around to where they've made sense of it. I like both competitors. I think Bianca should win. She should win clean. That should be the end of it. And they both go on to the respective things there. And I thought Becky's promo was very good for the material she was given, for the style she has to do it in. I thought it was good. I'm looking for that match. It's probably my most anticipated match, mainly because Brock and Roman is there, because Brock and Roman have done very good work. It's just we've seen it. I guess we've seen Becky and Bianca a million times too. Behind Brock and Roman, probably my most anticipated match. But credit to Becky doing what she can with the god-awful creative they give her.
Yeah, true. I think it'll be a really good match, like you said. I think Bianca really, really needs to win it. It's always fascinating to me to watch Bianca wrestle, because she's very good in the ring. But it's fascinating to see how she always has to like hold her hair when she does certain moves and stuff. Like it's like this extra thing she always, because so she doesn't like land on it or step on it or anything. So that's always just interesting to me to watch. She'll do like moonsaults and stuff, but like if you look, she's like holding her hair with one hand like as she's doing it. So just something I just noticed. But it's also one of those things like in pro sports, mainly like the NFL, you see it a lot where like if dudes have long hair going out like past their helmet, it's part like that's considered part of your uniform. So you can grab people by the hair to tackle them. So like I kind of see the same thing in her wrestling. But like you've said, and like people in the chat are saying, if her kind of thing is, well, I don't use it unless someone touches it first, then it comes across as much more of like a baby face thing for her, if that makes sense. Because otherwise, if she was a heel, I would just whip the hell out of people with that if you're allowed to. So
I mean, you can hear the thud when that hits you. I have not been hit by that braid, but the kids have very long hair and they'll put it in a ponytail and they'll smack me with it. Shit does hurt, man. And yet their hair is not as long and it's not as thick as Bianca's, but they'll do it and it'll hurt. So we've seen the scars on Becky and Sasha and everything. That shit does hurt. Your WWE spotlight, Stephen Jensen. We're talking about NXT UK for some reason.
Yeah, well, we're talking about it because this is another kind of fascinating scenario. So Roderick Strong, who I'm a very big fan of, and I know those of you watch The Grin because people have been talking about it in the comments. I know they're a big fan over there of Roddy as well. He's been wrestling at like a super high level for like forever, right? I mean, like 20 years, give or take. And WWE, I just don't think they have any real like plans for him for like Raw or SmackDown, because if they did, I think it probably would have happened by now. And the Diamond Mine thing is kind of cool, but like kind of overlooked already and stuff in certain ways. And I'm just excited for just a badass wrestling match between Roderick Strong and Ilja Dragunov, because I think Dragunov has been a fantastic NXT UK champion. I thought his chase towards the like to get the title from Walter or Gunther or whatever now, it was a great like story and feud, and like they had the first match that was like my favorite WWE match of the year, and then the second match was also my favorite match of the year the next time they did it. But what's interesting on top of it though is I saw on NXT this week Roderick Strong lost to Solo Sikoa, so like he's kind of like an underneath mid-card guy still on NXT, but over in NXT UK he's about to challenge for the title, which is just a little strange because the WWE just treats all of these brands so separately. It seems like where someone from NXT UK, like Piper Niven shows up on Raw and she's totally repackaged as Dewdrop, or Pete Dunne shows up and he's Butch or whatever, So like, for instance, A-Kid, I will put any amount of money on if A-Kid ever winds up on Raw or SmackDown, his name will not be A-Kid. Like there's no way Vince is going to like that name. By the way, neither do I. He's a fantastic wrestler, but it's a very goofy name to have. But anyways, that's why it's my spotlight, is because a lot of people don't pay attention to NXT UK. I cover it every weekend for the Weekender on Fightful Select, and they put on a consistent show. Like the matches are good and the stories make sense. And I think that Roddy versus Dragunov should get a lot of attention because I think it's going to be a fantastic wrestling match. I expect Dragunov to retain, but I just wanted to put it out there for people who might not be paying any attention to what they're doing with NXT UK right now, because there is a lot of really good talent over there. I know there's a lot of reasons to not. I understand why some people don't support the product. I get it, but like, if you want to just watch really good wrestling with stories that make sense, I think it's a good brand to watch. And it's a digestible product. And yeah, I just think that Roderick Strong versus Dragunov is going to be a badass match. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit because I have a feeling we probably won't talk NXT UK hardly ever on the show. And this is just kind of an opportunity too, I guess.
We'll talk about this match when it happens, because I think it's probably going to be the best WWE match of the year, honestly, because I'm sure that like they have some good stuff on the main roster, but they'll have Roman and Seth. A great example is that match ruled, but then you get to the finish, like, well, this is going to ruin it. At least I know with this match, Dragunov's probably going to win clean, and it's probably going to be great. It's probably going to be in my wheelhouse of like 18 minutes as well. So shit, it probably will be the best WWE match of the year. As far as like NXT UK stuff and Strong losing to Sikoa, and then now he's going to challenge for that, there's always been that disconnect. Like there's always been that disconnect between brands. And you mentioned it. Oh, here's Piper Niven, but now she's Dewdrop. Here's Pete Dunne. Now he's Butch. Like, unless it's NXT 2.0, which now Vince has his hands on and stuff. So you will see main roster guys go up there. Like we saw Grayson Waller, we saw Braun Breaker go up there, and they didn't do like a name change. They were still those characters. But if it's like NXT UK or NXT just holdovers, like Pete Dunne, like Piper Niven, like Walter, like they're just going to be repackaged into a WWE, however WWE does, and they're just going to treat them as just separate entities. And now NXT UK is almost like the old NXT, because NXT 2.0 has their repackaging and everything, and they're focused on the young stars. NXT UK is still what it was. It's Shawn Michaels' little product. Triple H, I don't know how involved he is with anything nowadays, but he was a big proponent of that. So like that is now their little like version of NXT. just over out in the UK. So yeah, Roddy Strong can go over there and have good matches and have like good programs and stuff. It doesn't mean anything once he's back on NXT UK. As far as Roddy and Dragunov go, though, it'll probably be the best WWE match of the year.
Yeah, I definitely think it has the potential to as well. Man, how long do you think before Louis Dangoor is signed to NXT UK?
Has he? I want to break more scoops here. Did he tweet about this?
I saw some pictures of him in the ring.
Okay, so he did tweet about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Where's Louis doing? Can I just message him and get him to come on the show? I'll try. I'll send him this link. Hold on. Yeah, okay. So he did say that he was at the NXT UK Performance Center. Hold on. Let me send Louis this link. Yeah, he DM'd me the other day. I guess it was yesterday, maybe the day before. And he showed the pictures and he was like, I'm coming to, or how do you think this will go over? And I was like, oh man, this doesn't sound good at all. And I was like, are you training? And he's like, yes. And I said, this is going to go one of two ways, bad or very bad. And I said, I'm going to go with horrible. All right, let me DM him. I said, come talk about your training. For some reason, we're talking about NXT UK. All right, I just sent Louis the link. I don't know if he's free. I don't know what Louis is doing, but this is what we do on the show. Just randomly DM people and see if we can't, get some news here. But, Cody, I asked him if he was signed, and then all of a sudden he gets the story out to Mike Johnson the next day. So could have just told us. Could have let us break that news, Cody. Thanks a lot, buddy.
That's true. That's so true. So true.
I can't believe it. Yeah, I want to see Louis take a Roddy Strong backbreaker. How great would that be?
Ooh, yeah, any variant. Imagine him taking that end of heartache, just floating him up in the air and flipping in the air. Oh man. Hey, I'll say this, man. I really respect Dangoor for doing that though. Like it does take a lot of balls, like especially when you know how hated on you get on the internet every time you say anything about wrestling, to know like to put it out there like that. And I've been in a wrestling ring once and I've taken like a couple bumps, but I've never like trained. And it's something I always wish I would have done when I was like in good shape when I was younger. So all power to him for giving it a shot, like whatever he's trying to do with it. So yeah.
All right, Louis says he's going to join us in 2 minutes. So I don't know if we should just talk more. Like we have other spotlights to get to. Let's try to run through our show. Our show's gonna be about 5
but to say
hours
because we have like maybe 15-20 minutes before we need to run the interview anyway. So yeah, we should try to get through some of the topics and then we'll circle back to Dangoor.
NWA, their Crockett Cup event was this past weekend. It ended in true NWA fashion. There's Louis.
You know what? Let's just throw him in now. Yeah.
Louis,
what's up, man?
Up?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually very sore. I'm very sore.
Yeah, so we were talking about this. We were talking about NXT UK because Roddy Strong is going to challenge Ilja for the title at some point. Yeah. And then Jensen mentioned how long until Louis is in NXT UK. And I didn't know if you tweeted about this, but I knew the DMs that you sent me. So when are you taking a Roddy Strong backbreaker? That's what I want to know.
No, the question is, when is Roddy Strong taking a Louis Dangoor backbreaker?
What's your finish, Louis? Is you're gonna hold Roddy down, make sure he doesn't kick out of it?
So when I tweeted yesterday about all this, people would be like, "Your finisher should be called like the Dangler."
Dangler.
Okay, like we can work with that. But no.
Dude, maybe a shooting star elbow drop would be cool.
I think so. Yeah. Maybe like a double one as well. So I'll do like flip within the flip.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What is your finish? Like what can you do? What did you do yesterday?
You will see next week what I did.
No, tell the people.
It was an exclusive, man. Come on.
I can't tell the people. I don't think I'm legally allowed to tell the people.
No. Did you sign something? Did you sign NDA?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. They make you sign that for all types of reasons. I assume you'll sign one.
Yeah, I mean, I signed like waivers and stuff like to make sure that like.
Did you run the ropes?
Yeah,
ran the ropes, right? Okay, I was like, you can.
Did it hurt?
That much.
Did the ropes hurt?
So I'm very sore today, like all over. But yeah, it was a fun experience. It was a very fun experience. I did some training with Trent Seven and Tyler Bate, who were great fun.
Wow.
We filmed it, so it'll be coming out next week. So
are they going to get you to grow a mustache? You're going to join them in the mustache?
I'm not signed to WWE and NXT UK.
You have.
This was like a one and done.
No, you're going for the NXT UK Championship by the end of the year.
Listen. Okay, let me rephrase that. As of right now, I'm a free agent. So Tony, give me a call, whatever. But I expect after my tape comes out, and I send it to like Tony for AEW and Sean for NXT and maybe even Tony again for Ring of Honor. I expect the bookings to come through, but I'll go to the Fed. Have
you been contacted to work Mania weekend yet?
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna do a run in a GCW.
No,
right.
I am facing Seth.
Oh, okay. I'd actually rather see that than
there's no code. There's no.
I could see Dangoor in the clusterfuck maybe at spring break, something like that. I'm gonna laugh so hard when you put these clips online. It's you doing like 619s and double backflips and shit. Like it was like, wait a second, this guy's incredible.
There's honestly, we filmed the skit at the beginning, and like for the scene that we filmed, it will work perfectly. But I know what I said verbatim. And I know it's going to be taken it's just going to be clipped. I think I said something along the lines of, like, oh, I'm dying for a WWE contract or something like that. And I just know anytime I tweet anything, that's like people are going to clip that and just be like, oh, I'm dying for a contract. That's going to be the quote tweet.
Will you face Nick Gage in a death match?
No. I'm not even gonna do the bit. No.
Would you take a chop from Gunther?
So funny story, actually. I know people that tried to, but this was before he got signed. That it was at Wrestling MediaCon over here in the UK in 2018, and they tried to get clearance to get chopped by Walter as a bit, and the medical were like, "Your heart could stop. We're like legally not allowed to give you clearance to do that." So yeah. So would I would do that before I face Nick Gage. I would.
That's fair. That's fair.
But would I do it? No, I don't think I would. I think that like, what would I do? I would take an airplane spin from Tyler Bate. That I would do.
I feel like you did that. I feel like this happened.
This might have happened.
Okay. I feel like that's why you said I would take it, because you actually have done.
I mean, I was just thinking, right, and it was like, because I've always been interested. How is he not really dizzy?
Right.
When he does it. So I'd just be interested to see that. And if he could lift me up, I think he could. But I'm a big boy. So
he feels like he's a big, strong boy, right? Isn't that the gimmick?
Well, I'm a big, strong boy now as well. Big, strong boy.
Oh, my God. When you sign with WWE, you got to promise to DM me first to give me the scoop, okay? Fuck Sean. He doesn't need it. He breaks enough news around here. I want this scoop.
Sean will probably find out before I do, in fairness.
That's true.
I feel like that's how things work around here. Sean just finds out and then tells the wrestlers what's happening. But yes, if I find out before Sean does, I'll tell you. I'll
all right. Thank you. I'm trying to become feed it to Lambs. He's got all the scoops.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. It'll be exclusive, big news. I might just feed you some rubbish. Tell you I'm going to like AEW to really like.
I gotta double check. I'm just gonna believe you. I'm not believing you with anything. So
why? I'll be honest. I'm only signed with AEW. I'm all elite.
Louis, do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, watch that video when it comes out. Follow me on Twitter at the Louis Dangoor and watch the video of me training with Mustache Mountain when it comes out. It's very good fun.
Louis, always a good sport. Thank you. You will probably see him on Booking Buzz or what's the show? Pillar to Post next week. I'll probably just have you on that since you do a tremendous bit. And
I'm not very busy next week, so
yeah, nobody is. I'm gonna really struggle to get people next week. Thanks, Louis.
See you guys.
Bye. Bless Louis Dangoor.
Yeah, good man.
Very good guy.
I feel for him online because if I was his age and as successful as he is doing what he's doing in wrestling media, dude, I'd be tweeting the dumbest stuff out. Everyone would hate me way more than they hate on him. So I think he does a really good job. Especially
he sucks at Twitter. He's so bad at Twitter. He's bad at it.
I'm
he's
a
at
fan.
least,
I like him.
he's at least reached the point to where he'll like lean into it and everything, which is tremendous. Like he knows that like what he tweets is gonna. But at first, I do believe like he was actually believing this stuff, and it wasn't good. But he's such a good sport.
Yeah,
this stuff. But bless Louis. I'm looking forward to when this footage drops and him getting his ass kicked. NWA, Stephen Jensen. Let's get through. Yeah, for some reason you were an NWA shirt. We can.
I was at NWA 70 in Nashville. That's why.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
In the Nashville Fairgrounds, the same building that hosted the Crockett Cup that we're about to talk about. There's layers to this, man. So long. I
appreciate the layers. I always appreciate
storytelling,
layers.
man. Long-term storytelling.
I
let it play out.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to with the way that world title match ended. So Matt Cardona retained because Jeff Jarrett disqualified Nick Aldis because he thought Mickie James low-blowed Cardona, but it was not. And so Cardona retained his title. It's a very NWA finish. Defend this nonsense, Jensen.
Well, I'm not defending it. I'm gonna roast it. So I will say that the actual 2-night show of the Crockett Cup I thought was done pretty well. Like for the presentation of it and what it is and the actual wrestling, they should have just had the Briscoes winning the Crockett Cup as the main event of the whole thing. If this is what they were gonna do for the main event. But we've seen these kind of things before. Like I remember when Trevor Murdoch wrestled Nick Aldis. And there was some like really BS. I can't remember exactly what happened. It was like a really BS finish, and like Aldis retained because of it. And then Murdoch eventually did beat Aldis for the title like months later. But at that point, like nobody cared because you'd already seen him lose and stuff. And so anyway, with this match, it was a decent match for like the bulk of it. And then when it got towards the end, it was like just so overbooked. And the actual finish itself was so stupid. Like it was so stupid how they did that, where Jeff Jarrett just blindly just guessed that Mickie James had low blowed him. Like there was like 10 people that interfered during the end of this thing. And you just randomly just chose Mickie James, who by the way had the least motivation of anybody to do that, of anybody involved. Like she's with Nick Aldis. Like if anything, she would want Nick Aldis to win the match. So what motivation would she possibly have to hit the referee? It made no sense whatsoever. And Jarrett, by the way, was like looking at this after it happened. Like he's in the corner in the turnbuckles, like looking at Matt Cardona tapping out to Boston or Texas Cloverleaf, and he goes to ring the bell, and of course everybody thinks Nick Aldis has won the title again. It was just a stupid way of ending this show. And like I give a lot of slack to Billy Corgan and the NWA and a lot, because I do respect that they're trying to be something different in the wrestling space. They are a throwback type of show. They are an actual alternative. They're not trying to be like the WWE or AEW. They're at least trying to do something different and old school. Unfortunately, there's not like a huge market for that, but they're trying to do something different. But when you have these kind of finishes, like it's such a bad faith move. When you have all this attention on a show, a lot of people are watching the Crockett Cup that normally don't watch NWA Weekly. And like, you know what I mean? Hardly anyone's ever tweeting about Power every week and stuff. I reviewed it on the Weekender, so I'm keeping up with it, but most people aren't. And when you have all these eyes on your product and everyone's saying all these good things for 2 days straight, man, Crockett Cup's been great. This match was great. I didn't even know about this wrestler. They're pretty good. Man, I haven't seen this wrestler in a long time. They can still go. And then it all just ends with this. People are going to be like, yep, screw this. This is why I don't watch the NWA. I'm not watching Power, and maybe I'll tune in for the next pay-per-view. Maybe not, but it diminished everything. It diminished Cardona as a champion. It diminished the intelligence of the fans. It just made Jeff Jarrett look stupid. Everything involved. It was just a bad finish. Just straight up.
Power was actually good this week. Like you had Briscoes and OGK. You had Austin Aries and Homicide. Like Power was actually a fine wrestling show this week. Yeah, I watched it, everybody. But as far as this goes, the problem with the NWA is they still want to be the NWA.
Right.
Like it's one thing. It's one thing if you want to use like the name and some of the nostalgia throwback and stuff. Don't use the booking, okay? Because the booking isn't the same as it was in the 1980s and the 1970s and the 1960s and things like that. It's not the same. People know that this stuff is now fake. Okay, they know that it is a Booker decision and the kayfabe isn't a thing anymore. So when they see a finish like this, yeah, back in the day, it would have been like, oh, Jeff Jarrett, this asshole, like how could he fuck this up? Cardona, he cheated. All this, we're really
Chelsea.
all this.
It was Chelsea's fault.
Yeah, like you could actually do that back in the day. In 2022, you can't do this shit. Everyone is just like, I don't want to see Nick Aldis be the top babyface anyway. Jeff Jarrett's going to be on his podcast, cutting in-character promos and talking about this stuff. He does his podcast every single week. Cardona is going to be the same thing on his podcast and a million different interviews as well. We know Billy Corgan is the one booking this. This isn't some secret with things. So you just can't do these types of finishes nowadays. Like TNA tried to do it, and JJ loves Impact TNA. Like this is Jeff Jarrett's entire title reign during his run in TNA.
Planet Jarrett all over again.
Yes. Yeah, like overbooked finish after overbooked finish. And the fans got sick of it because you couldn't do that stuff in 2 decades ago. You couldn't do it 2 decades ago. Now 2 decades later, they're trying to do it again. You just can't. There's a way you can do certain stuff like this. Like Cardona in GCW is a good example of like, hey, we know it's like fake and everything, but Cardona can come in here and still like play this heel and stuff because you're not pissing off the fans when it comes to like booking of matches in some instances. Like Cardona winning the title was good shit because there was a payoff to all of this. Like the payoff here is just a fuck finish and then Nick Aldis winning the title maybe at some point down the line. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that stuff in 2022. This is what we complain about with WWE is don't have your pay-per-views end like this. And yeah, that Murdoch Aldis match when they did that, it didn't work then. And for some reason they thought, hey, let's try it again here. So stupid. So stupid.
I agree. It's just like, it's unfortunate. And on top of it, like you just said, I'm honestly, I like Nick Aldis more than most people probably do. And I have no interest in like him winning that title again. He had it for years. Like if the big end game here is to put the title back on Aldis after all this, like it's put it back on Aldis after all of this. I sound like Aldis.
Slow it down. I just dissed
but I, you know what I mean? Like who's looking forward to that? Like, and who booking the show could be so disconnected from the modern day fan to think that's what they want. That's the unfortunate thing about a lot of this. There is some really good talent involved with the National Wrestling Alliance. But they just like, it's funny because like they have certain people that just seem like obvious slam dunks. Like the Pope's like one of the most over guys they have still. And like just they never like do anything with them. Like, but over here you got Tyrus heart punching people to death. You know, like it's just it's confusing booking in a lot of ways.
It's NWA booking, but it's 2022 and you just can't do that stuff anymore. All right, straight down the middle with Billy Corgan. That's what he's doing. Big ROH show next week. ROH Supercard of Honor. Tony Khan said Warner Media gave the blessing for this to run because it will be technically head to head with a portion. I think actually all of Rampage because I think ROH like starts their shows at like 9, so they run at like 9 to 12. But Tony Khan's got control. It's his first ROH show. He's booked some matches. We're getting the Briscoes and FTR match. Finally, we talked about that a few times here. This is where it's going to happen. We've got Lee Moriarty and Jay Lethal. We've got Swerve on the show. We've got Jonathan Gresham and Bandito. And Tony Khan, as he always does, he's treating this like an AEW pay-per-view. So big surprises are planned. Stephen Jensen, what do you think Tony Khan has up his sleeve for this show?
I have to imagine by big surprises, he's mainly referring to former ROH stars appearing at this thing. So who that winds up being, I really don't know, but they have so many people they can choose from. I think it'd be cool to see some indie guys and girls and stuff as well. That like I would really mark out for, just like that I might not know are going to be on the show or wrestling on the show. Maybe kind of last minute, that'd be cool. But I think more along the lines of like a CM Punk or a Danielson, or I mean, Low-Key doesn't really have a whole lot going on. Like, I mean, he has serious ties to Ring of Honor. It'd be cool to see him around. You know, Homicide. There's so many. Kenta.
I think Homicide will be there.
Yeah, Kenta might be in Japan, so like that might be tough.
Kenta's hurt right now. I mean, maybe it is next week. He was hurt. He was hurt after the Tanahashi match. I don't think he's wrestled since then. I don't remember when he was supposed to come back. There might not have been a timetable for it. But I know he was hurt. So maybe they get him there as some type of appearance.
Well, Samoa Joe would be a big one too.
That's
like because he hasn't shown up anywhere since WWE. So like, I think he'd be the biggest they could probably get for like buzz because like no one really knows what's going on with Joe at the moment. So that would be massive.
Joe would legitimately be the biggest name. You're right in terms of buzz, because like, all right, Danielson shows up, awesome. Punk shows up, awesome. Like they're on AEW TV, and not to diminish like what they're doing weekly there, but we see them weekly. You're right about Joe. Is like he's done some interviews since being released, but we don't know what his actual next move is. So if he shows up there, that would certainly be something. I think you will see Homicide because he's friends with Tony, or at least has done business with AEW and stuff. And I think Tony likes Homicide, and he's a big part of ROH history. Low-Key would be awesome. Like I think if they could get Low-Key, that would be pretty cool. I don't know if Low-Key is doing business with anybody, but he was at WrestleMania weekend last weekend, and there were stories about him at WrestleMania weekend last weekend. I don't know if Tony wants to go down that path with him.
I think I've told you stories about him at some indie shows too that I haven't told anybody else, that I've heard from backstage wrestlers and people that I mean, he's definitely still a very unique dude for sure. But.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to deal with that, but hey, if you can get Low-Key showing up, like Daniels will probably do something there. Maybe the Bucks do something, but I don't know if I don't know if Tony wants to use like a top AEW stars in like some type of match for that kind of thing, because he said like this is not an AEW show, like because he doesn't want AEW like really associated with WrestleMania weekend. He doesn't want anybody to think that they're invading on that or they're trying to go compete with that or anything. So I don't think we're gonna get like heavy AEW stuff, at least when it comes to like matches. Like Jay Lethal is like okay, it's Jay Lethal. He worked Final Battle as well, and obviously they got some other AEW guys that could be on the show. But Samoa Joe would be huge. Yeah, let's predict it, Jensen. I'll say Samoa Joe will show up at Supercard of Honor next week. It's gonna happen.
I will too, but for the sake of maybe putting out someone else, that I think it's very possible the Kings of Wrestling show up too.
Oh shit, that's good.
Yeah, because they could go in the ring right now as well. Like they could have an actual match, and it'd be Cesaro's first thing he's done since leaving. That would be a lot of buzz also.
Shit. Oh yeah, Hero and Cesaro. Cesaro just even if without Hero, but if it's Kings of Wrestling, oh man, I'd pop so hard.
Well, you can do either or for sure. I mean, Cesaro is a singles guy, rules as well. But like if they want to have like the OGK wrestle the Kings of Wrestling or something like that, it'd be sick.
Oh fuck. Now we're setting up disappointment if like Joe doesn't show up or Kings of Wrestling doesn't show up. Like Tony's gonna deliver one of these like dead era ROH guys. They're gonna come out there and that's who's just gonna be there. But man, Kings of Wrestling would rule. Shit. Oh man, you got me so hyped for this now, Jensen. I loved Kings of Wrestling, one of my favorite tag teams. Now, oh damn. All right. Well, we got a week.
A lot. I like the idea.
Yeah, we got over a week to see if this happens. If they show up, make sure to credit Stephen Jensen for the scoop on that one. All right. Indies spotlight. Jensen, I feel like we jinxed our guy Jaden Newman as he lost the Sub Bonestorm championship to Alec Price on Wrestling Open last week. Like we had him on the show. He was very friendly. He was awesome. Kind enough to talk to us. And then first title defense, he loses. What happened?
Well, you know what that means. We probably got to get Alec Price on here soon. And,
we probably should. Yeah.
Hopefully we don't jinx him too bad. Yeah, Jaden's a great dude. Yeah. So the thing with him, him winning the title was awesome. We talked about that a lot when we had him on the show and we spotlighted his title win. His own high school alma mater in front of his friends and family, and the Sub Bonestorm title means so much to him. He was too young to even wrestle the first Sup show because he couldn't get into the venue because he had to be 21 or older, and he wasn't. So great story with Jaden winning that title. But part of the reason I chose this as my spotlight is because, for one, Alec Price is fantastic. Like, he's been killing it. He's also the Limitless champion, so he's got like the 2 titles now, Limitless and Sup. And the kind of the icing on the cake with this is Alec Price is a North guy, like a guy from the North scene. And Jaden represents the Southeast, the Southern scene, but more specifically the Southeast. And Southeast first is a big thing right now. Uncharted territories in Southeast first. They do the venue that Jaden runs for TWE for the shows that he actually promotes himself. That's out of that building. So it's one of those things where, like, not only did Alec Price beat Jaden Newman in Jaden Newman's first Bonestorm title defense, he now holds a Southern title, and he's essentially kind of holding it hostage in the North now for them. Similar to how AC Mack is holding the IWTV title kind of hostage in the South. So like it's creating this really cool rivalry between regions in wrestling based on who's winning whose titles and where they're willing to defend them. So I saw that as like just kind of a really cool overall story. So like not only is it badass for Alec Price, who is super, super talented. He's a guy who I talked about at the end of last year during like my weekender year-end stuff. And I usually give some shout outs to people to watch the next year who I think are going to really break out, 2022. And Alec Price was the name that I was bringing up a lot during that kind of stuff. And so it's cool to see him get that win. I feel bad for Jaden, but like Jaden's a made man where he wrestles, and he's only going to keep getting better. I think he'll win the SCI tournament this year. At least I'm hoping he does. So Jaden's going to be all right. He might even win that title back from Alec Price at some point and continue this kind of rivalry. But once again, it was the Alec Price win, but also everything that comes attached to it with the whole rivalry between the North and the South and like the different regions in independent wrestling.
I'm glad you explained like the regional rivalry, because when we had AC Mack on and he won the IWTV independent wrestling title, we talked about like it's always been kind of associated with the North, at least recently, because it was defended a lot at Beyond, and now you're bringing it to the South. And now, like you mentioned, now we've got the sub championship, and it's a guy from the North winning it. We know uncharted territory is coming to the South for its next season. I would imagine we'll see Alec on that show defending the sub championship on that show. Obviously, AC Mack's going to be on the show defending the IWTV title. So I'm digging this like North-South rivalry on the independents that I didn't know that much about until we started this show, because I'm not as tapped in to that stuff as you. As far as the match goes, I've become a big fan of Jaden, not only through watching his work recently, but also through our interview with him as well. And Alec Price, it's another guy, like a lot of these guys, where I've seen like bits and pieces of stuff, but I've never like sat down and like comprehensively watched a lot of this stuff. And now after watching this match, like, yeah, this guy, he's good, and he's going to keep getting these opportunities, I would imagine. And I look forward to seeing more of his work now. But this North-South rivalry, I don't know. I hope it works out for all companies and they get more attention out of it, because it is cool what they're doing in trying to create a storyline like on the independent scene, like an overarching storyline with all this stuff going on IWTV.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love it. And it's cool because like Alec Price is a guy who he's done a little bit with GCW. He's done a little bit in the South, like in Action Wrestling and stuff like that. So like he's a guy who the Southeast scene knows at least a little bit about. So it wasn't like some like complete out of the blue, like, wait, who's the Bonestorm champion now? Who's Alec Price? It's like, oh damn, Alec Price, BJ Newman, like that's crazy. And I love his finisher too, the surprise kick, because like Satomura does the Scorpio Rising in NXT UK, and she does it pretty well, but sometimes it's like kind of doesn't look great. Alec Price is basically the same move, and he looks like he's killing people with that thing. Like the way he gets his leg back like behind him and swings it into people's heads and stuff. Like he's got a really cool move set. He's young. I think he's only been wrestling for like 3 or 4 years, but he really started blowing up like last year. So yeah, super bright future. He's had some really good matches that I've seen with Marcus Mathers as well. That's some stuff maybe people want to check out. Marcus Mathers is literally like still a teenager, and he's in that same like Nick Wayne, Starboy Charlie, Billy Starks group of like
that's
kids.
That's a dude that I kind of discovered last WrestleMania weekend, and his name obviously very similar to Marshall Mathers, and I was like, oh shit, okay, what's this guy all about? And I was very impressed with him last year WrestleMania weekend, and I've kind of been keeping tabs on him ever since. But yeah, he looks like he's going to be that next wave guy that you just mentioned.
Yeah, him and Billy are so cute too. They date, and they're like they put up their prom pictures and stuff, and it's like because they're actually kids still. It's so wild. But yeah, they're the future. They're those kind of dudes and chicks, and they're the future of wrestling. It's so exciting to just know the wrestling is going to be in such good hands. Like I think Billy Starks is going to be the biggest star in all of wrestling eventually. Like I've had that much faith in her. So like, anyways, yes. Very excited about what's going on in the indie scene all over the place. And like you mentioned, if you want to check out IWTV, you can use code Fight Talk, help me out. But there's so many there's so many things you can watch on there right now, and they're all starting to really kind of link with all these other companies. So it's really, really fun to watch, in my opinion, as a wrestling fan. So
what's not on IWTV is Circle 6. They had their first event this past weekend. We don't know where you can find this show, honestly. Circle 6, I don't want to say if it's an offshoot of GCW, but there's some GCW elements to it, 100%. We've been talking the past couple of weeks about the kind of battle between Atticus Cogar and Brett Lauderdale at GCW, and Atticus leaving, a lot of the 4-4 OH guys leaving, and the person who runs this, Kogar's involved a little bit, but the person who does it used to do Nick Gage's website and everything, and now he's running his own show, Circle 6. But they had their debut show. It was on Twitch. It kind of got kicked off of Twitch. Portions of it are like up on Facebook now. I think Voices of Wrestling reported that like they were trying to get on Fight TV, but there might have been issues with GCW preventing them from being on Fight TV. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes there. And in front of the scenes, though, as far as what you could watch, I guess it was a good independent wrestling show. It had a lot of deathmatch elements. I mean, that's kind of Kogar style, but guys like Christopher Daniels and Brody King were on the show as well. So it wasn't just complete deathmatch. It was a mixed bag of stuff, sort of what you would see from GCW. And if you missed all of that, it would be very understandable because there was a lot of technical issues with this show, Jensen.
Yeah, unfortunately there was. And really quickly, if you keep calling it 440H, Atticus Cogar is going to pop you in the head with some of those green skewers. 440.
I'm doing it as a bit now.
Well, the thing is, people actually do, though, to be honest, sometimes, like, because if you mispronounce it, it will really get under their skin. So like some fans purposely mispronounce it. Anyways.
I'm definitely not trying to get like skewered by Kogar or anything. I apologize. It is a complete bit. I'm not trying to get under anybody's skin. I think anybody who watches this show knows that very bit heavy and very sarcastic. But if that's gonna get me skewered, I will 100% stop because I ain't doing that shit. All right.
440. But yeah, it was disappointing because I was trying to watch live on Twitch and the feed just kept cutting out, and I would go on, I'd use like the hashtag. I usually do that for most indie shows. Like I'll kind of follow the hashtag to see like if the audio or video or something is going down, like if it's just me. And so I'll like look, and it was just like everybody was like, feed just went down again. And everyone was just getting really frustrated about it. And it was sad because like you said, I mean, we had Christopher Daniels versus RSP on this show and just like in a wrestling match. You know, you did have deathmatch elements of this. Atticus cut a promo after his match where he basically said he's like looking for homes outside of GCW to do his thing, and I think Circle 6 could be a kind of a permanent home for him. I think that those 440 guys have at least something to do with like the show existing to begin with. I mean, it was very 440 heavy, and they were together as a group a lot, which is kind of rare to see now. Even in GCW, it had become rare to see because like RSP hadn't been on the show in so long. And, you know, basically if this is nothing against these guys, but a lot of the time, like if Atticus or RSP isn't there, then you also usually don't see Gregory Iron or the Bev or,
Eddie
Only, and like these guys, you know, you just Eric Ryan, like you a lot of the time they're kind of more of like a package thing, or they're doing their own thing kind of individually, but it's kind of rare to see like all of them together nowadays. So that was cool at this show. Like pretty much like I think all of 440 was there. But yeah, they need to figure out the technical issue stuff. And unfortunately that isn't just their company. I've seen a lot of indie companies try to run on Twitch. And I understand why they do it a lot of times, because sometimes it's just the easiest, most free way of distributing a live show. But it happens a lot, unfortunately. Like I think it was, I don't want to misquote, but I think it was St. Louis Anarchy had a really good show a few months ago, but it was just like riddled with issues to where like you couldn't even really watch it. But like the matches were like it was a great card. Now, granted, a lot of the time what'll happen in these scenarios, though, is they'll let it run on Twitch, but they are still filming it with cameras there. So then usually they'll at least take the good footage and then upload that separately to like YouTube or IWTV or like wherever else it's going. But unfortunately with this show, all I can really find is like 30-second clips here and there. And like I said, I tried to watch it live, and I have basically all my opinions that I've given up to this point were from what I was able to see live. But unfortunately, it just kept cutting out. But I hope that they figure it out. I'm a big advocate of like the more the merrier when it comes to promotions. Like if there's more places that like, you know, the wrestlers have to make money, I'm all for it. So I want to see Atticus have a spot like this, and I want to see RSP have a place like this and everything, but it's going to be an uphill battle if they can't figure out the technical side.
And I mean, that's definitely something. If you're going to run live, you've got to figure that out. And I think a lot of these companies, especially their first shows, I mean, Terminus was riddled with technical issues, their first show. And they even had like Fight TV backing and everything. Like these first shows, it rarely goes off. Like there's always some type of tech issues for some reason. And even if you have like good backing, like Fight TV's run 1 million live shows. Like if you're trying to do some of this stuff in-house, I don't know how much Fight TV like helped with the production and everything with Terminus, but because it was on their station, I imagine they played some type of hand in there. Like if you're Circle 6 and you're just kind of doing this all in-house, we're going to run on Twitch and stuff. Like if you've never done it before, it's probably going to be difficult. I mean, Impact will have tech issues, and they've been running shows for decades now. So it's not easy. I know it's not easy. I understand it's not easy, but this is stuff that you've just got to figure out, or else it's going to turn off a lot of people, because it is good that there are so many options, but because there are so many options, if your option's not up to par, then people are just going to turn elsewhere for a lot of this stuff. It's almost like the TEW theory of like, hey, your production values are lower than your competition, you're going to get dinged for this. And like, it kind of works that way. Honestly, like fans, because there are so many options, they're going to see these production issues like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure the wrestling's good, but like we can find great wrestling anywhere at this point. Like I need a show that is actually watchable.
100%. That's a very fair viewpoint to have. I mean, that is the truth. I mean, if that same night, I can't remember what else was going on, but I know I was watching other stuff at the same time. I had a few screens going. So it was like, you know, if you wanted to watch wrestling, but the feed kept going out for this, then like you just pop on IWTV or you pop on Fight TV, or, you know, there's so much
going on. Crockett Cup was going on that night. AEW had a show that night as well. Like there's stuff happening on it's the weekend, it's independent wrestling. There's always stuff like going on Fridays and Saturday nights when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, your production is just it's gotta be up there. And again, I realize it's difficult, and it seems like they had behind the scenes stuff that maybe tanked them a little bit as well. But you've gotta, if it's the first show, fans will be kind of forgiving with that stuff. If this is something that is consistent, fans will be less forgiving when it comes to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just for what it's worth, there's a GCW show tonight. So, you know, most people don't even know because it's a random Thursday and they're just doing like, usually they do like a few shows back to back. But it's just like a Thursday. They're out on the West Coast, I believe. So it's like 11 p.m. Eastern time show or something. But yeah, so for anybody who wants to watch some wrestling late night, GCW tonight, Fight TV.
There you go. Guys, we're going to go into our creator spotlight. We have Matt from Wrestle Rumble. He's friends with Jensen and I. Everyone, I'm sure if potentially you've heard of WrestleRumble.com. They used to sponsor some shows here on Fightful, so Sean would plug them on some of the post shows and stuff. Wrestle Rumble is kind of like it's a pickup game, essentially. It's a pick'em game where you pick the winners and match times and things like that when it comes to the major WWE and AEW events. We talked to Matt. He's gonna explain kind of how all this came to fruition years ago when he was in high school. He tells us the whole origin of Wrestle Rumble. Go ahead, Jensen.
Just really quick, I didn't mention this during our interview, and I wish I would have. Just for the people listening, Matt, who you're about to hear from, Matt years ago is actually the first person that ever asked me, hey, have you ever met Sean Ross Sapp? And I was like, no, who's Sean? And this was before Fightful existed. So like Matt was the first person to tell me about Sean. And then, you know, years later we're working together and stuff. So like Matt's just such a good dude, and he like knows everyone, and he's so willing to connect everyone together. So like I wanted to throw that out there because I wish I would have brought it up. But like part of the reason I probably work for Fightful to this day was because of Matt even making me aware of like who Sean was. And then when Fightful got rolling, like I felt comfortable reaching out to him because we had the mutual friend in Matt. So there you go.
And we both share stories of Matt's kindness for us that again, we will talk about during the interview. We kind of start with that of just what a good guy Matt is and how he is very well connected and everything as well. So we do that, and then Matt surprises us with a game at the end as well. And all is well that ends with this game. Really had fun with this interview. Hope everybody enjoys it. Again, check out WrestleRumble.com, and we'll be back shortly after our Creator Spotlight. The Creator Spotlight here on the Spotlight. I'm still Jeremy Lambert. With me, as always, still Stephen Jensen. And today we have a very special guest from Wrestle Rumble. I believe making his podcast, at least the face debut here. Matt from Wrestle Rumble. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me on. And right out the gate, I'm going to steal one from you, Jeremy. Shout out to everyone grinding legally and
the worst bit I have. The worst. My mom hates it. My girlfriend hates it. My best friend hates it, and that's the reason why I keep it going, because they all hate it.
You know what it reminds me of? That whole bit reminds me of, and it's perfect that we have Matt on today because he has the Office thing in the background there, that painting or artwork. But every time I see you tweet that, Jeremy, I think about that episode of The Office where Ryan does like the toast, and he's like, "I want to do a toast to the troops, all the troops." Both sides. Just reminds me of that. Grinding illegally and illegally.
It's a Lupe Fiasco lyric again. It's a horrible rise and grind bit, but now everyone, the people I'm closest with, can't stand it. So I just keep doing it from that. Matt, we appreciate you joining us. I'm going to tell this story, and I'm going to get it out of the way, and then we're going to dive into actual Wrestle Rumble stuff and the origin and all of this. But just the kindness that you have in your heart and the kind person that you are. So All Out weekend last year, a lot of people may or may not know, it was a very stressful weekend for me with a lot of plans changing last minute. I was supposed to go down there Friday, didn't get there until Saturday. And then, so we lost out on our hotel and everything. And I don't remember the names of the hotel. I apologize. If you remember them, you can go ahead and say what they were. But we lost out on the hotel that we had planned. And we got to the hotel where like Sean and Cher and everybody was staying at. And then we got there and we didn't have a hotel. We're trying to find a hotel nearby so we can still stay around. Of course, it's all booked up because AEW is in town. There's like some other convention that's in town as well. And Matt has an extra hotel room at this hotel. And he's like, "Why don't you guys just use our room?" And I was like, Are you sure? And you're like, "Yeah, like you can use our room." Like, "Okay, well, how much do you do it for?" He's like, "No, you're good. Like, you got to stay here. We got to keep it in the family. Everyone's got to stay here for the weekend." Like, legitimately, I'd never met you previously to this either. Like, Sean just introduced us, and like 5 minutes later, you're just offering us your hotel room because we had no place to stay, or at least we were scrambling to find a place to stay for the weekend. So one of the kindest gestures anybody has ever done for me and the girlfriend. And I really, really appreciate that. And I'll never forget that. And I still owe you like a bunch of beers and everything.
Nah, it's no problem at all. I was glad to help out. You know, like I said out there, us wrestling folks, we got to stick together.
Yeah, man. Again, just so kind with everything. All right, so that is the kind of person that Matt is, and that is why everyone should play Wrestle Rumble.
Yes, you should. And I got a quick one too. Me and Matt met each other in, was it Orlando? Orlando, yeah, WrestleMania 33. He needed a ride from the venue right to your hotel. I think I drove you, didn't I? From maybe it was Raw the next night.
I was there for like 5 days. Fun. That sounds about right. I definitely remember, meeting up. I forgot about the shirt you gave me after Raw the night after.
That's right. Fight Talk shirt.
I should have you wearing mine.
Oh no, it's all
I'm walking the Bucks of Youth today.
There you go. That's another one of those things where like that weekend I showed up into town. I think at the time I only had a ticket to NXT Takeover. And you linked me up with Drew Baydala, who then linked me up with Demon Diva Issa, who I bought my ticket from for WrestleMania. So like I met Issa that weekend, I met Drew that weekend, I met you that weekend, and it was all through your connection to Drew that I met all these people and got a ticket for WrestleMania pretty much the day of the show. So
we're just one big happy family. I mean, we're practically kin.
Yes, exactly. Man, good times. Can't believe we know each other for that long. That's so crazy. We were just talking about how he did a podcast with me on my audio feed like in 2017, you said. So like that's, man,
SummerSlam 2017. Jinder Mahal was the champion at the time, defending at SummerSlam against Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura did not leave with the belt.
No, he didn't.
Oh man, what an event! What an event that was. Not good at all.
No.
Let's get into Wrestle Rumble. So for those who don't know, I know Wrestle Rumble has sponsored Fightful podcast in the past, but for those that don't know, Wrestle Rumble is an event pick'em where fans submit their picks for the upcoming WWE AEW event, and then the winners will get a prize, usually a title belt. They also do random drawings and everything as well. For more information, you can go to WrestleRumble.com and you can enter in there. Matt, how did all of this start?
That is a great question. And, honestly, I'm pretty excited to tell a story. I've legit never once told the story.
We got the scoop.
Yeah. Well, let's call it the True Hollywood story. Actually, the Fightful True Hollywood story of the Wrestle Rumble origins. Yeah, never told the story before, but to kind of paint the picture, I got to take you way back here. Gonna hop in the Doc and Marty McFly DeLorean time machine. We're gonna take it back to 1999, Elwood City, Pennsylvania, just north of Pittsburgh. Lincoln High School, to be exact. I was a young buck here in ninth grade. So some friends and I, we had a class together, 6-period science, to be exact. So myself and a couple of my degenerate friends shared the class. So what we would do, instead of paying attention to science like we probably should have been doing, we would actually write in our notebooks. We would number the notebooks 1 through 30. So blank piece of paper, we'd write down 1 through 30. And what we would do is we would fill in the 30 spots, and we were trying to guess what wrestler was going to come out at what number in the Royal Rumble. So this is January of 99. So the weeks leading up to it, we would just write list after list. We would write the 1 through 30, fill in a different list every time. I mean, we went through notebooks of doing this. I mean, page after page. I can actually remember my hand cramping up from writing so many lists. So basically we were just trying to guess, the order of the Rumble. So then come the pay-per-view time, we all got together, threw in $5 ahead and watched the pay-per-view. And, as they're coming out, we're checking it off. Hey, I got this one. I got that one. And, much like the pick'em contest now, it was basically whoever guessed the most right won. So it started, back in 99. And then, the next school year we would do it again. And then, Elwood, where I'm from, and Pittsburgh in general, a huge wrestling town. I mean, it's an A town. And this is, the height of the Attitude Era. So, the Attitude Era is raging on. Everyone and their mothers watching wrestling. So other people would kind of get wind of this pool, and we would throw in money. The first one we all bet a quarter, 25 cents, basically collecting money at the lunch table. So the next year it got a little bigger. More people heard about it, and they'd be tracking me down in the hall. Hey, let me get in your Rumble contest. So each year it got a little bigger, and then high school turned to college for me. I went to a college you never heard of called Slippery Rock University of Pennsylvania. Slippery Rock. It is a real school. Look it up. So, by the time I got to college, it'd been going a couple of years. So then my college friends, I lucked out, like the whole crew in the dorm, everyone was a wrestling fan. So they started getting into it. I still ran it every year. My high school buddies got into it, and now my college friends. So each year it got a little bigger. And fast forward some years down the road, call it about 2013, it got to a point where, like, I love doing it. I love stuff like this, but it was almost kind of like a pain in the butt, because back then, to collect at this point, then it was $10 to get in. So I had to make it a little interesting. So I had to kind of go around, meet people all over creation to get their money, just to kind of, get the pot going. So I was driving here, driving there. And I was like, oh, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be an easier way. So then come 2014, the infamous Royal Rumble that Daniel Bryan was supposed to be in, and they booed Rey Mysterio, Batista won. That's the year I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this website. I'm going to send everyone this link. They can pay right on there. I won't have to travel all over creation to collect people's money. It'll be way easier. So a buddy of mine did website design. I said, hey, can you whip up this site for me? Just looking for something simple, something to click on and fill out a form. So he set it up. So that was the 2014 Royal Rumble. So that was the very first pick'em on WrestleRumble.com. And, shout out to Justin LeBar. He actually helped me kind of get on the map. I reached out to him and said, hey, I got this website. I'm doing this contest for the Royal Rumble. He was with WrestleZone.com at the time. And they, at the time, WrestleZone was like the website. So he, we were kind of going back and forth. He eventually put a link to a news article on WrestleZone about it. And it's kind of off and running from there. So, but on my end, I was actually going to go out with a bang, and the 2014 Rumble was going to be the last Rumble I did. So I figured I started this in 99 when I was in 9th grade, went all through high school, all through college, post-college, getting into the work world. All these people were getting into it. And then where it got to be, it's kind of a pain running around. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this website. I'm going to go out with a bang. 2014 Rumble, $1,000 top prize. We're going to do it up. We're going to go out in style. So it went off, without a hitch. And then after the Rumble, that was it for me. I signed up for the website to pay for like 6 months to have the website just to have it. But then, a couple weeks after the Rumble, I started getting some emails and people were like, hey, are you going to do a WrestleMania pick'em? And then light bulb. And from there, that's all she wrote. Looking back, I'm thinking back, like, why did I not plan to just go full throttle to begin with? I was like, I can't believe I actually planned on like stopping this and, just with that one time on the website. And then, a few emails came in, hey, you doing one for WrestleMania? And then that's kind of it from there. First year or two, I really only did like the big ones like Mania, SummerSlam, and the Rumble. But as each year kind of went on, I started doing a little more and branching out, doing like the belt contest, stuff like that. But if it wasn't for those emails from just a couple random people, we probably aren't sitting here right now.
That's wild, dude. That's so cool though. That like it literally just started as a thing for like you and your buddies to like have a little extra like fun watching the Royal Rumble. And then is the Royal Rumble your favorite pay-per-view of the year?
Absolutely is, by far. That match, I mean, I can't sleep the night before. I'm so excited. But, it just started. We literally would bet quarters, like 25 cents the first year, $1, just kind of grew and grew and grew to 10. And from there, it just kind of took off. I mean, it's hard to think. I mean, 1999 feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
But that's when it started. So the website itself actually launched with, the January 2014 Rumble, but the origin, how it really, really got started was really all the way back to my science class in, 6th period. And funny story, here we go. This is the Attitude Era right here of Raw. It might be a little hard to see.
Oh, no, yeah.
That's me. So front row Raw 1999, 6th period hates Norman is what that says. Our science teacher was Mr. Norman. So of course, this was on TV and we might have got detention for this. I'm not gonna say.
That's hilarious. Dude, now it's grown so much to the point where like I remember you telling me a while ago, it's probably already a couple of years ago, but you have like someone developed like some sort of like software or something, right? To calculate the scores and like it's you have like a little team of people kind of like helping you now and stuff. Like it's really become like a real, basically a small business. I mean, you said before we got rolling, like, I mean, you got an LLC for it and everything, which is that's just so awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it started like the first couple of years, I would score everything by hand. So I would print everything out and have to go through, one at a time. I mean, I would have a stack of papers like this high, and every Monday after a Sunday pay-per-view, I would actually have to take the day off from my shoot job because I wanted to get the results out right away. And I mean, I would pull all-nighters. They would go into the next day. I'd be on like a 8 to 4, 9 to 5 schedule. I'd have to take that day off. And but so that got old pretty quick. I'd be delirious for like the next 3 days. But so shortly after that, been a few years now, but I had a friend of a friend knew someone who works. It's like a software engineer for IBM. He developed an app basically where it just kind of spits out the results, couple clicks of a couple buttons, and boom, you got your results, and saves quite a bit of time, to say the least. But,
has there been any recalculations? Has anybody been upset? Like, no, I think I won.
No, that's never happened. I mean, the results, it's you kind of like enter in through like Excel, and then it goes through formulas through this app. So it's pretty straightforward. I've actually never had that happen. I still hand check some just because I'm paranoid. Like the app, I mean, I've used it like 100 times and it never fails. But I'll always, just because I'm paranoid, I'll print out like a bunch and still hand check them. And I don't know why I do it, because it's like a calculator. It's not going to be wrong. But yeah, never had that issue. But I'll still check some by hand just for fun and because I'm paranoid.
What started the random drawings that you would do? Just out of fun?
No, it was, well, I mean, it is fun, but how it actually got started for the belts, it's a crazy story. So I had takeover pick'em contest planned for, this would have been 2020. So the prize was going to be the Intercontinental Championship belt. So that takeover actually ended up getting canceled because of COVID. So I already had the belt, and it's already paid for, and I was like, I got to give this away. I'm not just going to sit on it. So kind of similar how Wrestle Rumble got started, like in general, I was going to do just one belt giveaway, use this random.org site, just $1 per entry. I've got this extra belt, takeover is canceled, let's give it away. So, people signed up for it. It was a pretty decent turnout, and kind of another like light bulb went off. I'm like, man, might be onto something here. So it's weird. Like, had takeover not been canceled, like I might still just be doing just the pick'em contest. But after it was canceled, I did that contest, got a good response, and it's kind of all she wrote. And people, I mean, love belts and like the custom belts. And I honestly thought that the championship belt phase, I mean, it's so hot, so popular in pop culture. I thought it was gonna die down like years ago, but it's like still going strong, and if anything, it's catching more steam. So it kind of worked out. I mean, it sucked that takeover was canceled, and circumstances around COVID, but it ended up making for a lot of fun contests. And it's, who doesn't love wrestling belts in this world?
Yes.
I mean, WWE sends a belt to every single championship team out there. So yeah, everyone loves these belts.
Yeah, I think they're gaining even more steam because of that. Like I know people that aren't even interested in wrestling, but they're big fans of like certain sports teams. Like I know when I think like Raw was in Atlanta not too long ago, and I know somebody who went to the show and actually bought one of like the belts because it had like I think it had like the Atlanta Hawks logo or something like in the side plates, and he was like not even a wrestling fan, but he was like, this thing's badass, and he paid like $400 or something for this belt just because it had like the Hawks logos in it, and he thought it was like a really cool kind of crossover like sports memorabilia and wrestling memorabilia kind of thing. And speaking of these belts, the belts are real, y'all, because I won this from WrestleRumble.com, NXT TakeOver New Orleans in I guess that was WrestleMania 34 weekend. So I won this by the pick'em contest. Like I beat so when I carry this belt and I brag about this belt, I won a NXT world title by beating all the other NXT fans. Like this is an actual trophy for winning the NXT title. So just so y'all know, like these, not only are the belts real and like these contests are like as legitimate as humanly possible. That thing showed up at my door like 3 days after I won it. Like he had it shipped out immediately. Like the thing was, I was in New Orleans, and when I came home from my trip, like it was there, and I was like, it's the only legitimate like replica belt that I own. So like,
yeah, that my shoot job being FedEx, that might have something.
Yes. So just so y'all know, like, is every now and then, one out of every like 50 people I give like a free entry to, they'll be like, I don't know, man, is this legit? And I'm like, trust me, it's very legitimate. Like, you have nothing to worry about when you're going through WrestleRumble.com. So I want people to know that are watching this. If you've ever had any hesitancy, because maybe you've been, boned by other kind of contests and stuff like that, this is legit. The prizes are legit. It's good people. Like Matt, of course, good dude right here with us. You've already heard the stories of me and Jeremy meeting him and all that. Amanda Raifman, she's a part of like helping out with Wrestle Rumble, another great person in the wrestling community. Like, so yeah, I just wanted to give that a shout out too. Like, I've won a contest. I've gotten a prize from it. It's only the one time though. I've entered every single contest for the past like 5 years. I've only won
Jensen,
one.
you hate WWE. That's why you can't win.
Yeah, but that's not an excuse because they do AEW ones now too. And I got 10th place in the last WWE contest, and I was tied with a few people. So technically, I was probably like 6th or 5th or something. I was right outside of like the money. So
you're always in the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the coolest belt you've given away? Because I'm on the website right now, and like for people who have not visited, it's WrestleRumble.com, and it's not just here's a WWE championship, here's a NXT championship US. Like the prize for the championship gold rush here is a WrestleMania Moments belt. You're doing NWA belts, AWA belts, like it is, and then the drawing after WrestleMania Night 1 is for the Smoking Skull title. You're giving away a variety of like belts here. Like, what is to you is like the coolest one that you've been able to give away?
Yeah, I'd like to mix them up and try and do something different all the time. Like you mentioned, like the WrestleMania Moments belt. So probably my favorite custom belt I gave away was last year. It was WrestleMania Moments belt. The main plate was Daniel Bryan holding the belts up with all the confetti in the background. That was pretty cool because like I'm a huge Bryan Danielson fan, and that was definitely going to be the main plate, like no doubt about it. And then some side plates with some of their classic WrestleMania moments, like Hogan and The Rock stare down. This year the custom WrestleMania moments belt is WrestleMania 13, Austin with the bloody face. But yeah, to answer your question, all-time favorite, I mean the custom one, definitely the Daniel Bryan one, but also the if you look on the WWE's website, the Macho Man Legacy belt and the Stone Cold belt, I mean, they're like $1,000 retail. They come in a huge case. They're like 40 pounds. Giving those away, it's been probably about a year or so, but yeah, the Macho Man belt is definitely up there. The Legacy one. The Stone Cold belt I'm talking about, we're giving away the mini one, night one. But the real big one, it's actually not even on WWE's website anymore. I think they only made 1,000, but that one was just a monster. It came in the mail, and I was like, oh, man, what am I going to do with this? But that was a pretty sick belt, and giving away the Winged Eagle a lot. I mean, it's one of my favorite all-time belts. It's always a popular one. But yeah, I'd probably say that Macho Man and the Daniel Bryan custom belt.
Those mini belts you just mentioned too, those are really cool also, because what I like about those is like those are great for displays. I haven't won any yet, but I would like to win some because they don't take up as much space, so you can like you can really use them really cool for like display purposes and like an office and stuff.
Those are very popular. I did a contest, it's been a good year or so, but we gave away 20 of the mini belts, basically every mini belt on their website you can think of, and got a really good response. I definitely plan on doing something like that again. But yeah, you're right, for offices and office settings, stuff like that, they make for some pretty good decorations and good conversation pieces too.
Yes.
Very good display on that. So okay, so now I'm interested. The WrestleMania Moments belts that I see the one on the website here. You mentioned the one last year. So those are custom made. Like you can't, because I was looking at it as like, I don't think I've ever really seen that. So you have a guy like actually design those for you?
Yes. Yeah. The custom WrestleMania Moments belts. Yeah. You can't get them anywhere else. I basically just pick some of my personal favorite moments. And yeah, I know person's actually really not even in the business at all. They're just good with plates and leather and whatnot. But yeah, I come up with the ideas. I mean, they're all based on some of my favorite Mania matches, and they get them done. The ones, most of them come straight from WWE. Like I just get them right off WWE shop, but the custom ones, I also use, I don't know if you guys ever seen the guy, JB Toys on Instagram. He's been commissioned by some, like ROH and other companies. He makes some belts. The AWA belt, that's one of his. So I mix it up, go through some different people, but custom belts just really seem to be popular. And like we were talking about the sports earlier, like after the Super Bowl, I mean, you see the guys in the background, they're holding up the belts. So pop culture that works for us. It's good advertisement for us.
How many of these do you own yourself? Because I know you're a belt collector, like as like a fan, on top of giving these away. Like how many do you think that you own, and like what are some of your favorites or the ones that you actually own yourself?
I probably don't own as many as you would think. Winged Eagle, definitely. I mean, that's a classic. I actually have that in white, black, and then the I think it's kind of like a greenish blue. I've always loved the United States Championship from WCW. I have that one. That's actually one of the prizes on night one of WrestleMania. A couple other ones. I have the $1 million belt. I had to beat up Virgil here in Pittsburgh for it, but I got it.
No, I'm about to say, don't bring that around him because he'll sign it without you wanting him to sign it. Then he'll try to charge you for it.
But we're going to go off topic here, but funny Virgil story. Okay, so he's a Pittsburgh boy. So this would have been Extreme Rules a couple years ago, was in Pittsburgh. So I know the franchise, Shane Douglas, he's from my local hometown. We've worked together a few times. So we were actually doing like a meet and greet at the bar right next door to the arena where Extreme Rules was from. And it's like a given. Any wrestling event in Pittsburgh, Virgil's going to show up. He's going to try and peddle his merch, peddle his pictures. I mean, it's a given. Anytime WWE or even AEW's in town, Virgil is going to make an appearance. So what like we're at this event doing an interview with Shane Douglas, getting ready to head next door to Extreme Rules, and door busts open, and it's Virgil carrying a box, got all his merch, all his 8x10s, all his merch he's trying to peddle. And we were actually making jokes earlier in the night. It's only a matter of time before Virgil pops in, and sure enough, he bum rushed our event.
Oh man.
That last one from me, and if the answer isn't that office photo behind you, then you must have some really cool shit in your room. But coolest thing you have in your room?
Coolest thing in my room? Oh, geez. Well, I'm gonna have to say artwork. So I obviously got this guy hanging up. Most of my artwork is upstairs. My favorite piece of artwork is actually the scene from the movie Office Space, where they take the fax machine out in the woods and they just beat the crap out of it. Jeremy, have you ever seen that movie?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So it's the famous scene. They're taking a baseball bat to it. So I know a super talented artist from one of the Carolinas. His name's John Toomey. He drew it up by hand. I'll tweet a picture of it later. It's incredible. I don't know how he drew it by hand, but I would say that's probably the coolest thing I have. But a bunch of other artwork, like I have. So this is obviously The Office meets pro wrestling. I have another one similar to this. It's the setting of The Office, where you see Pam's desk at reception, Michael's office, Jim and Dwight's desk. But instead of those characters, it's actually wrestlers. So like Bobby the Brain Heenan, the Legion of Doom, Gorilla Monsoon is in there, Jimmy Hart. I'll send a picture of that one out as well. But it's pretty cool. And artwork, I love custom artwork, and I always say there's no rules to art. So I always do like mashups. I actually have one in the works now. It's I don't know if you guys remember the Simpsons episode from way back in the day when like Daryl Strawberry and Roger Clemens were on it.
Everyone knows Homer at the
Wow.
Come on.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that one.
So it's kind of a play on that, where these guys are in their softball gear, but instead of those characters, it's going to be wrestlers. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, the Young Bucks, Bryan Danielson, couple random guys. So it's going to be, a team of 9, but it's going to be all wrestlers wearing like softball gear. So I like the mashups. I don't know. I've been on a custom artwork kick last couple years.
Oh, that's
awesome.
dope, honestly. Like, that sounds really cool. Yeah, I want to see the pictures of especially the Office one with the wrestlers sitting there. But this new one with the Simpsons and wrestling crossover with Homer at the bat, that sounds really sweet as well.
Yeah, looking forward to that being done. It's sometimes they take a little while, but it's usually worth it. And I'll tweet a picture out and tag you guys later with all my random artwork nonsense.
Cool. Everybody will be able to find that. I'll put the links to that in the description of this as well.
Hell yeah.
Are you ready for a surprise?
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Who doesn't love a surprise, right? I love a good surprise, and so I got a surprise for you guys, or as we say in Pittsburgh, yins guys. That's Pat McAfee. The Pittsburgh has their own language. I'm gonna drop an impromptu game of wrestling trivia. You guys are the contestants. Rules.
I'm bad at trivia.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this? The
Yes.
First person of Yins 2 to get 2 questions correct, you're going to win a mystery prize, which will be revealed at the end of the competition. Do you accept your mission?
Yes.
Yes, let's do this.
And we're on the honor system, Jeremy. We're not going to look up any of the. I don't want to keep my hands up in the screen because it's uncomfortable.
No, I'm not looking up.
We will not.
I will. I'll just do this to you, Jensen. I'll just remove you, and then you can't answer any of the questions because I don't think you have the StreamYard access. I don't think you're logged into Fightful. Oh, you are. Okay.
Yes,
Darn it.
So now there's no buzzer, nothing you can ring or ding. So shout it out. First person to shout it out, we'll get credit. And if it's like a tie, if we get real close, we'll go to Dusty Rhodes as the judge for who actually got it. And that's not the prize, by the way.
All right.
And I texted a few friends and I was like, hey, text me some softball wrestling trivia questions.
Oh, no.
Okay, first 1 to 2, right?
Okay,
Here we
just
go.
yell it out. First person to yell at the answer.
Yeah.
And then if they get that wrong, does the other person gets a chance to steal?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Look at me hijacking your show.
I love this.
I didn't even consult with Sean Ross Sapp on this one.
He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know what we do on this show.
All right, question 1. Hopefully you guys can. I wrote 14 questions. I'm hoping we don't have to go through all 4.
I'm hoping we get 2 out of these at some point.
First 1 to 2. All right, question 1. Sheamus defeated John Cena to win his first WWE championship. What type of match was it?
TLC. Oh, it was a tables match. You're right.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just remember him falling off the top through the table, but that's right. Yeah. All right. Damn, that was close. All right. Damn, Jeremy. All right, let's go.
Game point already. Okay. Ahmed Johnson's only title in WWE
Intercontinental.
was the Intercontinental title. That's not the question. The question is, who did he defeat for it?
Jensen, you've already blurted your answer. You don't get a shot now.
Well,
You've
I
already
thought the
blurted
question was going to be, what is the
Yeah,
title?
I thought so too. I was going to blurt it, but I was like, oh, let me at least wait. I think Gold Dust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir.
Let's go.
You got
Get
shut
it
up.
Quizlemania.
Hey, if the question was, what title am I thinking of? I would have been Intercontinental.
You got to wait for
title.
the whole question, Jensen.
I know. Well,
I tell you what.
you got the tables match so fast that I was like, I had to get in there. Oh man, that's fair and square though, man. You beat me fair and square.
Jeremy,
I got.
definitely win. I'm gonna show you the prize here in a second, but since he ran you out of town so quick, just for fun, Jeremy definitely won. But just for fun, I'm gonna rattle off the rest of these questions. You guys shout them out.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. The infamous Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Mick Foley took place in what city?
Pittsburgh.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Pittsburgh.
Ah,
Steven, come on, man.
I'm just throwing stuff out now.
At least you let me finish the question this time.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely let the question end because now I feel stupid with that damn Intercontinental. That's gonna haunt me for, especially if this is a prize that I really wanted. I'm gonna feel so bad about blurting out that IC title thing.
You're gonna be hangry when you see it.
Oh no!
Who was the only member of the NWO to win an NBA championship?
Karl Malone.
Dennis
Oh, sorry, Dennis Rodman. Jeez.
You're on the board.
Oh, they didn't get that. I got that. Jensen saying Karl Malone.
Well, I said Dennis. I meant to say Dennis Rodman. And I said
Jeremy,
Karl
you actually okay?
Yeah,
Jeremy,
I got that one. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm getting killed up here.
I think Steven needs some caffeine or something.
No. Oh man, this is bad. Okay.
Okay, I'm thinking you're gonna know this one. Taz made his WWE debut at the 2000 Royal Rumble. Who was his opponent?
Kurt
Kurt
Angle.
Angle.
Steven Gowan. He got you barely.
I mean, that's like the lowest hanging fruit ever. Everyone knows that one, but yeah, it's all right.
Another easy one coming up. In August of 1994 at the ECW Arena, what wrestler threw down the NWA?
Shane Douglas.
That was
Steven
close. That was
by
basically
hair.
a tie. Yeah, that was basically a tie.
What was the name of Mikey Whipwreck's finishing move?
Whippersnapper.
Oh, you're heating up. Alexa Bliss defeated Becky Lynch to win her first women's championship. What type of match was it?
Regular.
There's no way.
I actually don't know.
I can't. If I'm stumping you guys, I'm gonna be surprised.
I legitimately don't remember.
Our chat's gonna kill us for not knowing this one. Not knowing Lexi.
Was it a
Allcaps.
one-on-one match?
It was a one-on-one match.
was.
Yeah, so I got it. Regular.
Well, no, but there's got to be some.
Oh,
sort of
was there a
stipulation
stip?
Yeah.
It was
Oh.
a stipulation match.
I have no idea.
5,
Extreme rules.
4, 3, 2, 1. Kind of a trick question. It was a question earlier. It was a tables match.
It was a
Oh,
tables match. Okay.
yeah.
I have
Oh,
no
you know what? I actually remember that.
recollection
I do remember that now. Okay.
I
No
can't wait.
recollection.
I'm telling everyone I stumped you guys.
That's fine. It's on video. There's proof. Again, the chat's screaming at us right now. I already know it.
Yeah,
the
for
chat's
sure.
very mad at us.
Here's an easy one. What was the opening match for the main card at WrestleMania 33 in Orlando?
Oh God, I have no idea.
Oh my God, I was there. AJ Styles and Shane McMahon.
Yes.
What? Oh, good job. No clue.
We're taking it way back on this one here. What was the stipulation in the tag team title match at WrestleMania 14?
14. They did a battle royal at 14, but for the titles, I'm trying to think who it was. Oh, the girlfriend's gonna kill me now.
Was it like the dumpster match or whatever?
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
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 I didn't want to
good
say
job,
the
Jensen.
Outlaws and Chainsaw Charlie because you guys would have probably got it. So yes, it was a dumpster.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm
Good job,
killing
Jensen.
Jeremy now. He only got the first two, and now I'm
That's all that
smoking it.
mattered. I'm good
Oh.
when the game's on the line. I ain't worried about practice. We ain't talking about
Oh.
practice. When the game's on the line, that's when I got this.
Got 4 more here. WrestleMania 13. This is so random. Took place in what city?
Chicago.
Yes. What was the main event of WrestleMania 13?
Undertaker said.
It's on fire.
Yep.
Two
Everyone
more.
remembers Austin Brett though, but that wasn't the main event.
Exactly.
Undertaker said.
Yeah.
Gonna-
13-14 is 13 is like 13-12 kind of wheelhouse stuff because girlfriend watches that all the time.
Last two here. AEW. Couple easy ones here. Who's gonna shout it out quicker? What was the first ever match on AEW Dynamite?
Guevara
Cody and Sammy. That's
Steven
close.
by hair. What was the first ever match on AEW Rampage?
Oh, I was there too. Shoot. Oh, Christian and Kenny.
Yes. you
Oh,
were
good
there.
call.
I was
Yep.
there. How did we not see each other?
We didn't know each other. Are you going to Dynamite at the end of April?
Yes.
Okay, I'll see you
In
then.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yes, April 20th.
Yes.
That's right. We didn't know each other before that first one. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah.
link up for sure. Me, a few friends of mine and me will be down there for sure. Looking
Cool.
forward to that one.
Yeah.
Steven,
Let everyone know. Or they, wait, what's
No,
the
no,
prize?
no, yeah, what's the prize?
Yes.
are you ready? This is where poor Steven. The prize is
Oh, it's a mini belt.
the official retro 4-pack, the latest from Mattel. In the box,
Oh.
sealed, unopened. I'm gonna have to get your address. Text me your address.
I will.
Unopened, sealed in the box. Mint. Steven, I love you. I love you.
And you know I collect that stuff. Hey,
Jensen,
well,
honestly, Jensen is going to appreciate it more than I will. The kids are going to look at this and they're going to try to rip into it and stuff. Steven, I will pass my prize onto you. You will appreciate it more than I will. I will take the victory. I will have bragging rights, but you will appreciate the collection more than me.
What a gentleman and a scholar. Wow.
What a nice guy. Thank you, Jeremy. Well, the thing is they will be well taken care of. They will have a good home here in my office.
Exactly.
All my other memorabilia. So like they will be well taken care of. And I will remember it as the time that I defeated Jeremy in trivia.
No. Now, if you're going to act like you won, this was a different conversation.
Jeremy, you are such a good man. I got to say, I don't think I'm giving them prizes up. If I won, I'm keeping it.
Jensen, he likes that stuff. Like he is a collector of that stuff. I know it is going to a good home. Again, me, I enjoy it. I appreciate it. I don't have the appreciation that Stephen Jensen does. The kids are going to see it and they're going to want to play with it and stuff. And I got to yell at them, be like, hey, don't do that. It's just, it's a pain. Jensen, at least it's going to a nice, loving home.
And they'll stay nice and mint.
I'm writing a letter to Fightful demanding that you get a raise.
Thank you. Everyone should demand I get a raise, honestly.
Well, Stephen, you have to text me your address. These will be en route to you soon.
Well, thank you. And honestly, Jeremy, I do appreciate that, man. Like you don't feel like you had to do that or anything, but like I will keep those mint in great condition and they will have a very, very good home. I always feel better when like I am trading or selling any of my stuff from my collection that I know it's going somewhere that's like it's going to be like a good home for where it's heading. So like
now if you sell, I do want to cut all the profits on it.
I'm not going to sell these.
Okay.
No. I'm saying just in general, like sometimes I got to like make space and get rid of some of the stuff in my collection. And when I do, I always try to find a buyer that's like also a collector that I'm like, okay, this is going to go somewhere where like, this is going to be appreciated wherever this is going.
Right.
So, no, I appreciate that a lot, Jeremy, and I appreciate you, Matt, too, for having the prize, and then I wind up getting the prize. Which is
I appreciate you letting me kick Stephen Jensen's ass in this trivia contest.
Yeah, you were on fire there, but I love a good surprise. Figured just be a little fun and some softball questions, but it's good time. Really appreciate you guys having me on this. I was telling Stephen, I was telling Jeremy before we went on, I was like, I must be doing something right if I'm getting on Fightful here. I mean, geez. Or a slow news day, something.
No, man, this was something we planned on doing. I remember I texted you a couple of weeks ago, like, hey, around WrestleMania time, like, you're on our list. We really want you to come on the show, especially with the tie-in with Wrestle Rumble, because hopefully a lot of people will hear this that maybe have never played Wrestle Rumble on the website, and they can try it out. Like, it's super affordable. Like, it doesn't cost much. You got chances of winning big prizes. You can do the $1 belt entries and win title belts. You can, the website's WrestleRumble.com. The Twitter is at Wrestle Rumble. Like, we really appreciate having you on, man. And like, it is something where like, we really do believe in what you're doing with the website. Like it enhances my fandom so much, especially when it shows that I'm not even that interested in, like WWE wise. Sometimes I'm like, damn, I don't, another one of these pay-per-views, like, but I get super invested because I have Wrestle Rumble entries like invested in this. So like it keeps my fandom up really high all the time.
I appreciate that. And you guys have been nothing but great to me over the years. And it's kind of how it all got started. Just something to make the show a little more interesting. Got something riding on it. But I appreciate the kind words, man. Thank you so much.
Matt, thanks again for joining us. Everyone go to WrestleRumble.com. Follow on Twitter at WrestleRumble. Go play the WrestleMania. Go enter into the random drawings. You're supporting great people. You get awesome prizes. Matt, we appreciate it. Thank you again for your time today. Guys, we'll be right back here. We're back here on the Spotlight. That was Matt from Wrestle Rumble. Great guys over there at Wrestle Rumble. Matt, he rules. Jensen, let's wrap this thing up. You're muted, by the way. Please unmute your mic. I don't want you to start talking. And then you're still muted, Jensen.
I was literally just saying blah, blah, blah.
Yes,
blah,
I can
blah,
tell you
blah,
weren't saying anything.
I was just messing with you. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to really plug, I guess. Tonight, twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming. Myself and Joel Pearl, as always, will be playing Mario Kart. if you have a Nintendo Switch, come game with us. We put out a code and we do an online tournament. We go from 7 p.m. Eastern time to around 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So come hang out in the chat. Even if you don't have a Switch, just hang out in the chat and we'll talk about wrestling or life or stupid stuff or the other video games. I mean, we talk about really whatever. It's just a fun way to kind of unwind, hang out, and just, play some video games, have some fun. So yeah, that's tonight. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, Degrassi Dudes, myself, and SP3, we are talking about a very important character in the series of Degrassi. His name is Campbell Saunders, and kind of somewhat of a controversial character because you'll know why if you watch Degrassi or if you want to listen to the show tomorrow. Our guest is Not a Vampire, who's a YouTuber who has like a great Degrassi channel, and they give us like some really, really, really good insight throughout this conversation. So it was an awesome conversation. Me, Vamp, and SP3. That's going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern on Fightful Overbooked. And this Sunday, the Fightful Select Weekender podcast. I'm not sure what I'll do yet for the Weekender. The last couple of years, I've done like really big deep dives into the collective before it happens. So I don't know if I'll do that on Sunday or if I'll do an extra Weekender. I got to figure that out. But I should be having a lot of previewing of the collective coming up this weekend and this week. So that's FightfulSelect.com. Support us over there at Fightful Select.
We've got like 6,500 subscribers, I think Sean just tweeted out. And it's all because of Stephen Jensen and the Weekender, as far as I'm concerned. Jensen and Pulowski. No one else subscribes to Fightful Select for anything else. Weekender and Sour Graps. That's it.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with Sean's breaking news or any of that kind of stuff. But no, I love being on the platform because obviously you get a lot of value there if you're a wrestling fan. Like you get all that news that Sean puts out there. You get the extra stuff with him and Jimmy. You get my show, you get Alex's show. Like it's and it's only $5. So it's something that like I don't feel like we're in no way, shape, or form, I think, ripping anybody off. Like, and so I think you get a lot of value for that $5 is really what I'm saying. So if you want to check that out, I talk about independent wrestling every Sunday over there. And at the very latest, sometimes on Mondays, depending. Sometimes there's like a show on Sunday that I need to talk about. So I'll have to wait till Monday to record the show. But generally speaking, the show comes out every Sunday, usually like in like the late afternoon time. So,
guys, we got a big show next week as it is WrestleMania week. We'll be talking about, by the time we air, a couple of shows will have happened, but we'll be previewing some stuff, working on a guest who is going to be wrestling at WrestleMania week. And
did you get confirmation on that?
I've not. We'll have to talk about it. That's why I said I'm working on it.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. We will have a wrestler on next week.
Yes. We'll have a wrestler on who will have a match during WrestleMania week, depending on which wrestler that is. We're not quite sure yet, but we're working on some things. So yeah, that'll be next week. Big week as it is WrestleMania week. Head over to Fightful Overbooked right now. Day after Dynamite is live with Will Washington and SP3. And Jensen just mentioned SP3. SP3 he does more on Fightful Overbooked than I do at this point. I should probably give him the channel. Yes, guys, everyone head over to Fightful Overbooked right now. Guys, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys next week. Everyone have a